You're listening to the Pelicans postgame report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
Perfect. Fly Pelican, fly Pelican, fly Pelican. And I tell them that birds of a feather flock together. Fly down, I'm a Pelican forever. Pelican forever. Ain't gon' lie, I feel flyer than I ever been. We stay ballin', this New Orleans, I'm a Pelican. It's going down in the nest, wild, wild west. Come in town and you best show us some respect. 3-point threat, I better make it rain. If it's up, then don't jump stupid like your ankle sprain. Always saying, never hate the player, hate the game. Jumper where the dame late, punch a train. Post game, big Q, talking about business. Bird gang, YouTube, they ain't flocking with us. Lock up the division mission, get into the finals. Finish competition, then it's going win the title. I know this flyer than you could get. Such a threat that the ref just might call a tag. You could double, you could press, but you can't check. Right, left, slide by you like a Eurostep. Fly Pelican, fly Pelican, fly Pelican. And I tell them that birds of a feather flock together. Fly down, I'm a Pelican forever, Pelican forever. And never, and never, and never, and never, and never, and never say birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, fly die, I'm a Pelican forever.
As reported as well, Hall of Famer Joe Dumars finalizing a deal to become the Pelicans' new president of basketball operations here. Of course, Dumars has been with the league office as the executive vice president of basketball operations. But I think everyone thinks back to Zion Williamson, right? He's only been available in 45% of games since he's come to New Orleans. How will this hire impact Zion?
Zion Williamson has had one head of basketball operations since he's been drafted, and that's David Griffin. So this is a complete shift. This is someone new that's going to be coming in to run this Pelicans organization. Expect some very candid conversations between Joe Dumars once he is officially in the mix and Zion Williamson. They're going to have a sit down eventually. We saw during this regular season, Zion Williamson was suspended during the season for tardiness. And as a face of the franchise, this is something around the Pelicans. They know professionalism, the increase of that is going to be necessary for Zion Williamson. And we know Joe Dumars' history. He's a 3-time champion as a player with the Pistons, those old 80s, 90s Pistons. He's a championship executive in 2004. So he's going to bring a different level of authority and accountability, I think, in New Orleans. This is a different figure coming into this organization.
From about 2000-ish to 2004, I'm not sure there's been an executive who's had a hotter run than Joe Dumars did. From the acquisitions that he made, the contracts that he signed, picking players who ended up overachieving, making smart moves, it set the Pistons up to a championship run. They made several different finals. They made, I think, the conference finals 6 straight years. And then from about the mid-2000s till the end of his tenure in Detroit, everything he did turned to coal. It was crazy how he was so hot and then went so cold. And some of it is fortune on both ends. He has demonstrated that he is superior at the job, and he's demonstrated how hard the job is. The most important thing I think you can say about Joe Dumars is he will walk into the building with instantaneous respect right through the organization. And so that doesn't make Zion Williamson healthy, but that should make Zion Williamson pay attention. And that is what one of the biggest struggles with him has been.
All right, for all things Pelicans, y'all now tuned into the Pelican Postgame Report. Much love to the fam. As you can see, or here, the latest news, and of course we talked about this on the previous stream, is that the Pelicans have the vision that they're aiming that right at Joe Dumars for him to ultimately become the new VP of basketball ops here in New Orleans. And we're going to talk about that, man, as the Pelicans looking to finalize the deal here to get this done this relatively fast. And some reports said by the end of the week that Joe Dumars will be penciled in as the GM. Now we'll see if they'll release the particulars of the deal, how long the contract will be. But we got some other stuff to talk about penciled around that hiring. How does Zion play? What is the plan for Willie Green? All that we'll discuss on this episode of Pelican Postgame Report. So please feel free to give us a like. Also feel free to hit the notification bell and sub up if you're not a sub to PPR. We in this thing. I'm Big Q, DC, and Lex is in the building. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate y'all being in the live. On this one, and shout out to the fam, man. We see all y'all out there. Jade and Mary, shout out to you. Brother Stacy as well. Steph, how you doing, Steph? Big ups to you. We good to see all y'all out there in Pale Land, man. What's popping? So, fam, DC, Lex, this is a lot going on, man. Let's just hop right into it. The Pelicans finalizing the deal. And this is something that was, like we said, we talked about, and it got real serious. is that they get rid of David Griffin. They're aiming at put their sights squarely on Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars is a friend of the organization. We all knew this. We talked about this on previous streams when we drop history about who the Pelicans are. And what happened with Joe Dumars, he's the reason they have a VP position. Was that originally under Tom Benson, they was going to give it to Joe Dumars to lure him in, but when they started talking money, Tom Benson said, hell no, and gave it to Dale Demp. So that's a brief history on that. So we'll go over this stuff and his jacket, his resume, and what makes him the right choice. And we'll also cover some article that talked about some opposite stuff so we can have some balance. So DC and Lex, starting with you guys, DC, what do you think about Joe Dumars as your new VP?
Well, I could say a lot of negative things. That's what everybody is focusing on. When I just look at how a lot of people support the team, some people who, follow us on Twitter and different platforms saying they ain't Pels fans no more, da, 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 da. But when you put it in perspective, I actually got to give it a little time to fully see how I feel. I know I hate the process of them. You fire somebody and 24 hours later you got somebody else. That's typically not a good thing. But we do have to understand Joe Dumars was in the running for a long time now. You've covered multiple times how Tom Benson wanted to give him the job before it was ever even thought about of a David Griffin. So there's a lot that they already know about Joe Dumars. And the time thing for me would really, what is his actual position? Okay, because we got to get into this, because I think this is what has everybody in the uproar when you look at it. David Griffin was the vice president of basketball operations. David Griffin was not the general manager. But the way that he operated the team, he overstepped his bounds, and he did what the VP of basketball operations was supposed to do, and then he jumping over in the GM seat and had Trajan hiding in the closet and Q calling him a mime. So is Joe Dumars going to come on board with that same mentality? And I don't think so, Q. I don't think so. Lex, either I'm talking about Q, like I'm so used to you not being on the show, Lex. We done missed you for a while. Been gone for like a couple of weeks, maybe. Yeah, we missed you. But will Joe Dumars come in, and will he actually be the vice president of basketball operations? Are we going to get a GM? Right? Is Bryce Graham going to be the GM and be Joe Dumars' hand puppet? Is he going to allow Bryce Graham to actually be that guy and give him the power to be a GM and not be a hand puppet? We got to see, like, what are they going to do? Who is he going to put in the front office? You could easily shoot this down. Joe Dumars, he ain't been around the league in 10 years, or he ain't been running an organization in 10 years, because he was running the NBA. What was his title for the NBA? Y'all know his title? Over there at the NBA office? He was in charge, I think, discipline the players when they get out of line, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the one who finds the players if they get ejected or stuff like that. He was over that.
So he's over there doing that, but he hasn't been running the franchise. So, but the thing I think that gets lost is we look at David Griffin winning one championship, and you're like, oh, Joe Dumars won one championship. Here we go again, Well, Joe Dumars didn't really have a superstar. And y'all got to remember who the Pistons beat. They beat a Shaq and Kobe Lakers team to win a championship. Everybody thought it was impossible.
You forgot the other two that were on the team.
Give Gary Payton and Karl Malone were old as hell, Alex. But
I mean, they were still on the team.
Honorable mentions, yeah.
On paper, I mean, to make it to the finals, I mean, on paper, you know how they do it. But I mean, those are some big names. That ain't nothing to turn your nose up at.
No, I mean, no, it don't. I'm not trying to diminish their greatness, but I mean, it was a Shaq and Kobe led team, in my opinion. Those two guys will come in there, to right the ship and fill in the blanks. But nonetheless, my whole point is Joe Dumars built the Detroit Pistons from the ground up. He had to trade to get Ben Wallace. I thought they drafted him. So he identified that guy when got him. Drafted Terrion Prince, signed Chauncey Billups, traded for Rip Hamilton, and traded for Rasheed Wallace mid-season to put them over the top. So I think somebody who does it like that is a lot different than what we experienced with David Griffin. I know I went over it. I don't like his drafting. Big Q pulled up a video of him addressing that and why it was and da 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 da. But I didn't like his draft strategy. I didn't like a lot of players he got. They really didn't pan out. He had some hits here or there. But if he can get help in that area, in I guess maybe the free agency area, which you always need help being in New Orleans with the free agency area in basketball. He puts a competent GM in place. Or let's say maybe we just don't know it, but Bryson Graham is a competent GM minus the talking. Would this be so bad? I mean, all of the things that we know that are negatives, I think start getting cleared up. There's going to be accountability. Those stupid ass words like compassion, joy, and what was the other one?
Oh, human beings. You should have said that one first.
That's
human beings. I'm not gonna miss that at all. Like I ain't trying to hear that at all.
You got it. Let's go ahead and tell us how you feel about it. I'm done.
Oh, you finished?
Yeah, I'm good. You got it.
I guess I'll start off first with the fact that this hiring wasn't much of a process. And I think that in itself kind of bothers me because you're really you are already set in tunnel vision on picking Joe Dumars. And it's nothing against Joe Dumars, but it seems like this is more so about Joe being from Louisiana. He's a homegrown guy, and I feel like that's more the focal point than anything. Some because he's from Louisiana, it's like someone you can trust. And I know we've talked in the past about culture. The culture is not so much being from Louisiana, but it's like just winning. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that Joe Dumars, he's proven in the past that he's a winner, but he also has a reputation that he kind of lives in the past. Some of the things that you all pointed out with Stan Van Gundy. Like, he's an old school type coach and he needs to be brought up to speed on things. Well, that's kind of a similar reputation that Joe Dumars has. And I think with that being said, it's kind of like, what type of Joe Dumars are the Pelicans getting? Are you getting a guy who's up to speed to what's going on now? Or are you still living in the past of, you know what I'm saying? Just as far as, building the team and things like that. Because like you said, DC, when you look at his draft picks, they're okay. He didn't really have, stars. No, he really built a team with, kind of role players. I thought like in that championship, I actually felt like Rip Hamilton should have got the MVP. And it was Billups, and I was shocked. You know what I'm saying? But that was just me, I didn't really see Billups as that guy. But I think going back to just this process, it wasn't a process. You were tunnel vision on getting Joe Dumars, and that's it. And I think that's been a recipe of the Pelicans in the past. If you think about Griff. Did they interview anybody else other than Griff?
No.
You see where I'm getting at?
Right.
It's there's a pattern here, and they're repeating the same pattern. And I'm just, we're talking about the Pelicans because I've said this before. A lot of the stuff with the Pelicans was way before Zion got here. A lot of the things on how the Pelicans move. And I know a lot of people want to be, oh, we got to put some blame on Zion. But wait a minute. There's been a system that's been here with the Pelicans way before Zion. And I feel like, again, that weight, because when you talk about having a system, that stuff is embedded. That's embedded before any player gets to, whatever organization you're going to. Every organization has some type of system in place. But yeah, when you look at Griff, it was tunnel vision. They didn't interview anybody else. They didn't open their options up. Now, I've said this many times. I believe in moving with the purpose. I feel like the Pelicans, they move very slow. They don't move with any type of purpose on things.
They move with a hell of a purpose on this, Lex.
Exactly. But this right here, though, this is a crucial hire right here. It was very crucial. And really, I kind of feel like, in a nutshell, this is one of those things coming from, Gail Benson's mindset. People need to come back to the arena. We need to get people back coming to the arena. We need to do something. Let's make a change. Fire Griff. We're going to bring in Dumars. Oh, he's from Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? Somebody was in her ear, probably plays golf. I guess Dumars is a friend of the organization or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was just making a change to more so not for the sake of winning, but more so, okay, we made a change. Now y'all can start coming back. Guess what? You did that when you fired Dell Demps and you hired David Griffin. What's the difference? Now, we haven't seen Joe Dumars. We have not seen him perform yet, obviously. And I always say, hey, I like to give people a chance, but I'm just looking at, we've seen this before. You know what I'm saying? We've seen this process before, and it's like you're mimicking the same thing that you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've said many times, hey, to do the same thing, go with the same process and expect different results is insanity. Why didn't you all open up the interviewing process? Why were you so tunnel vision on Joe Dumars? Why didn't you make him compete? Why didn't you see other philosophies, hear other philosophies from other people who might have been interested in the VP job? As a business, why wouldn't you want to do that? To explore your options. Because you want the best option. Not only that, you want to show your supporters that you are committed to the culture of winning, not the culture of, hey, he's our homegrown guy. He's one of us. Because really, in a way, that could be a gimmick. It could be a gimmick to say, hey, you guys, we got one of us up in here. But what is the philosophy? Because again, he has a reputation of having that back in the day type philosophy. Then check this out. We talked about with Zion that Zion is not a 4. Zion is not a big man. How does he look at Zion? He's a 90. You know what I'm saying? When he looks at Zion, does he see like a Ben Wallace? Because Ben
Oh,
Wallace.
come on, that would be like supercharged Draymond Green.
Exactly.
That'd be
Thank
same
you.
shit.
What'd you say, DC? What'd you say?
Supercharged Draymond Green. If you say,
Okay. So you all see what I'm saying? How is he going to look at Zion? Because if you're not looking at Zion the wrong way, guess what? You haven't changed a thing. You haven't changed a thing. We need that type of VP. And like I said, I don't know. I don't know where Joe Dumars, but I'm going off of what his reputation, what people other around the league have said about his reputation. I'm looking at when DC, when you were naming all the guys he drafted, you could see similarities. You could see similarities with who he was drafting for the Pistons. Like, dude, it makes you wonder. And I think I'm thinking about where is his mind frame? Because oh my gosh, if you're thinking of Zion as a big man, I don't know about that. And I know DC, you said a lot of people have been saying, thinking negatively about it, but I'm looking at what other people around the league are seeing. I'm looking at, like you said, who he's drafted in the past. Is he going to pick up? Is he updated to the NBA of today? Has he studied Zion and where he would fit? Or is he in that mindset, oh man, he's a next level Ben Wallace? If he's thinking like that, I'm going to tell you right now, no.
Well, Lex,
I'm just saying.
You gotta give him. I don't think he that stupid. He actually played basketball, Lex.
I mean, I don't know if you knew this or not.
Give him a little more credit than that, even though I hear him talk yet.
Quite a few people look at Zion because they're looking at his girth. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
They're looking at Zion as a big man. Zion is not a big man. He's not a big man. He never was. And if you're looking at Zion the wrong way, that's why he hasn't been used properly. You have to understand what you have, and you have to keep an open mind. Because when you get to these old school guys, and I will say this, because Stan Van Gundy, he did put Zion at the point. So Stan Van Gundy did have that vision. You know what I'm saying? And he even told Zion, hey, I believe your future is at the point. I believe your longevity is going to be at the point. I don't think it's down low. He actually told Zion that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he put that. That's where all the point Zion stuff, that's where that came from. And then it seems like when Willie got here, he was actually trying to fight that stuff, back and forth, because we know we saw Zion in different positions where it's like he didn't get the ball a lot, he didn't handle the point a lot, which he should have, and then he wasn't. But I just think the mind frame of Joe Dumars, and I guess we will have to hear him, but it just seems like this whole process, it wasn't a process. You didn't do your due diligence. You did not interview multiple people.
No, that's
tunnel vision, and I have a problem with that. You have to expand the playing field to other people. See what mindsets are out there, philosophies. Hear people out. Hear their ideas. Hear their concepts. Hear their vision. Hear their direction. Don't just be like, I mean, did you even hear any of Joe Dumars' vision before you were like, okay, it's going to be Joe, or Joe Dumars is interested in the job, and it's like, oh, okay, great. Well, we want to hire you. You didn't do anything. You didn't ask him any questions of his vision for the team.
Well, Lex, listen, I thought usually when and listen, we've known that the Pelicans have been delayed. That's your terminology, delayed in decision making This wasn't a delayed decision. They were behind the scenes talking to Joe Dumars while David Griffin was still a VP. For them to fire him and then within, basically within a day's time, have Joe Dumars lined up to take his job, David Griffin was a dead man walking. That's, and I promise you, once it leaks and everything comes through, a few months from now, all that'll come out, the fact that he knew that he was out of here, that he was a cooked goose. And truth be told, yeah, Joe Dumars is a friend of Mickey Loomis. He's a friend of the Pelican Saints organization. He's a Louisiana legend, so they figure he's missed the basketball here. If anybody can fix the Pelicans and turn them around, hey, it's Joe Dumars, despite the fact that he spends so much time in the league office doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. They figured that he would be the guy that would come in and bring respectability. Now, the things I like about Joe Dumars is his mentality as a player. Like, the differences between the two are uncanny. When you compare what David Griffin is, he was basically a basketball politician. I doubt he can dribble a ball. Joe Dumars gets instant respect from people because he's done things that David Griffin can only have a wild pipe dream about. I mean, Joe Dumars is considered a top 50 player. He's a Hall of Famer. He's won championships. He bested, I ain't gonna say bested, but he was well respected by arguably the best player in the game. So I mean, the type of stories he can tell Zion would be unreal. Would be crazy. And then he excelled at the GM level, right? We knew his draft stuff was kind of weak, but at the end of the day, he did put together in turn, because I remember the Pistons were, before Joe Dumars became the executive, and it took him a little bit to turn him into respectability. Now, he did eventually leave pretty bad. It went bad toward the back end, which ultimately he kind of went right into the NBA league's office job. But weirdly enough, and then Stan Van Gundy, that's crazy. Didn't Stan Van Gundy take over the VP job after Joe Dumars? That's crazy.
Yes.
We had both. That's crazy. Yes. And then Trajan Langdon is up there. It's just crazy, man. It's wild.
It's definitely it's a connection. It's a connection going on.
It's connection. We got Willie Green from up there. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
this is a weird pipeline here between the Pelicans and the
that's
Pistons.
that's why I'm like, hey man, kind of interview some more people, man.
No, let me, because you're right, Lex. Let me do this first. Michael, thank you for your super chat, brother. Appreciate you. He says, I heard Swin and Bryson will stay. What's your source on that?
Where's your source? Yeah, where's your source?
Put it in the chat.
Dumars ain't even been hired officially yet.
So yeah, Molly Mall, thank you, sir. He says, I can stomach Dumars keeping Willie. He says, I can stomach Dumars keeping Willie. I can't take. So I guess he means that he can't take it. So you thank both of you guys.
Thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Okay, all right. Thank you both of you guys for your super chats, man.
Yeah, put the other comment up there, man. I couldn't see it.
Which one you talking about?
The second one with him stomaching Willie. There you go. Yeah.
He said I could stomach Dumars keeping Willie.
Keeping Willie, I can't tell. All right, yeah, I feel you on that, Molly.
Well, that's another part of it. And Lex, you're absolutely right. And you break down that the process. I would have appreciated them go talk to Bob Myers, talk to other people.
Yeah, shoot, OKC's assistant VP, Boston's assistant VP. It's like, they got respect too. I mean, look at what they're doing.
Right. I agree.
I don't know, man. They need to expand that, man, and stop being so tunnel vision during these interview processes. And then, like, I hope, I don't know. Stuff is still kind of. I don't know how I feel about any of this. I think I still feel the same way. It's one of those things. Okay, you got to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not trying to trick myself.
Well, I think one positive that we can pretty much lean on. Q touched on it a little bit. I think this is a plus for Zion. I think he'll be ecstatic about this. Getting David Griffin out of there, you ain't got to worry about nobody trying to play the piano for you in the middle of the night.
Joe ain't doing
shit
that.
Like that. Yeah, Joe ain't that type of guy.
Joe a real one. He ain't gonna play with him like that.
Right. And he gonna
stupid ramp ups. I hated them things, man.
That might be gone too. Maybe that's
it's
gone
like
too.
if you're ready to play, you ready to play.
Right. Other teams don't do the ramp up shit. So
No, they don't.
Some teams I know they want them to go through a 5-on-5. I've heard that, but 1-on-1, the 2-on-2s,
2-on-2,
3-on-3s.
3-on-3.
Man, get out
It's
of here.
like
You ain't never played basketball before. Like that's what that come off to me. Like if he could play, he could play. You put him out there practice 5-on-5. Like put him in practice. Like what's the big deal? If you can't do practice yet, okay, maybe you can do 1-on-1 individual team drills. But
and them stupid minute restrictions, I don't like that.
I like them this year, Lex. I ain't gonna hold you. Zion didn't get hurt. I didn't see him really get banged up at all. He had his win the whole time. Now maybe they need to push him past the 28 minutes, but I can't argue with results. But let me get my point across, and we could attack the minutes restrictions. I know you don't want to hear that.
No, I want to see him play. I mean, how many games he's only like played 45%. I mean, I want to see the dude play.
I mean, he went through like 30 games or so with the minutes restrictions, and we ain't had not one hiccup.
Yeah, but we actually had opportunities to win games. I think that's when I have a problem with the minute restrictions.
They wanted to tank, Lex. So they was pulling them out those games intentionally to tank.
I don't care about that tank crap. I don't. I keep telling y'all, man, I'm not dialed into losing.
No, I get that, but
business part and stuff and everything. But again, if you tank, okay, and you get that top player and you still losing, what's the purpose of the tank here?
I mean, obviously you failed at tanking, but you wouldn't have had a chance to get up there if you wouldn't have lost. But the whole point is that's water under the bridge. We can talk about it, but I'm trying to get to Joe and his connection to Zion, because David Griffin ain't here no more. So hopefully we never have to sit through that again, right? That's the old regime. But I think Joe Dumars, like Q was saying, he has a basketball pedigree. You got somebody up there that actually played basketball. And I looked at how the guys interacted with somebody like Trajan Langdon. A lot of players really liked it, Trajan Langdon. Trajan Langdon played basketball. He was a hell of a shooter. You know what I'm saying? Swing Cash, they all get along with her. Swing Cash played basketball. You know what I'm saying? So that's
I'm just saying. You saying that like that's a really good point. But I'm like Willie Green.
Okay. Let me rephrase it. They played basketball and they won.
You better speak that, brother DC. Now you're talking.
They were winners while they played basketball. Okay,
there you go. You got to be specific,
right?
With your prayers and things and what you're saying. Because I'm just saying, Willie Green did play. He played.
He didn't win shit.
Exactly.
I think Willie was in the playoffs. Though. He got to playoffs.
All right, DC, just leave Willie's place.
Yeah, leave him out. But I think Zion and Joe Dumars, man, I think that is a good match. Zion loves old, tough, rugged, hard. That's no homo. That's crazy. That ain't sound right. But he like old school. He throw back.
My mind was in the right place, brother DC.
Yeah, that shit ain't sound right, Lex. But got my attention. But look,
I was with you.
Zion like the old school, the throwback. So this move to me indicates that the organization is fully brought in to Zion, in my opinion.
Are they? Because they still having talks about trading him.
That's not true. I don't think. There's only one. We're gonna just one person.
We're gonna pivot to that first, but finish your thought, DC, because I want to transition to that because that's a very important sticking point here.
Well, you look at Joe Dumars. You got Coach Krzyzewski at Duke. You got the Stan Van Gundy connections. I like Stan Van Gundy.
Yeah.
I'm sure some things he didn't like about Stan Van when he get up to the podium and be throwing everybody the goddamn bus. I don't think Zion like that or nobody like that. But Joe Dumars, to me, he kind of fits what Zion looks for in his. I know he's not the coach, but just those type of personalities that can get through to him. You know, he has a high respect for his parents. You know what I'm saying? He seems to be an old soul, takes advice from people older than him. I think this might be a good look from that direction. Now, as far as him strategizing basketball wise, I don't know what that's going to turn into. I'm looking for to see if he's going to bring in a fresh basketball mind, because that's what we need. You know, whether that be through a GM or you hire a coach that could borderline probably be a GM too, and you all work all of that together. And maybe they keep Bryce as the GM, but he's just for like drafting purposes and stuff. Because I think Bryce does good with that. A lot of the guys that we wind up with in the draft, you know, I think we do pretty well drafting. We've made a lot of mistakes, but Joe Dumars, man, it's an opportunity for this to actually be a good hire, even though the Pels didn't do their due diligence on looking at what else is out there. We know they did their due diligence on Joe Dumars. Shit, they've been scouting him for about 10 years now.
You know what? That don't count. He's a friend of the organization. That's like friends with benefits or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'd be like them they might make Avery Johnson the GM, right? We got Avery Johnson as the coach.
No, not yet. No.
I mean, he be at all barbecues and the golf.
He does, but I think the NBA basketball coaching it might be behind Avery Johnson. You know, I wouldn't.
He was a solid coach though. He wasn't bad.
Yeah, but he's not what we need, man.
Nah, he's not.
Yeah, we want somebody a lot higher than that.
I agree, Strider. I just wanted to point this out. He said, Joe Dumars sounds promising, but I'm not celebrating until it actually makes a difference in the whole franchise as a whole, period. I'll give him a chance, but I'm not celebrating until I see a champion.
But this what you talked about, though, Lex. What was your comment about leadership? You know, leadership reflects what?
Attitude reflects leadership.
Attitude reflects leadership. Do you think Joe Dumars has the type of attitude that you would want the Pels to possess?
That's the question.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he was a bad boy. Bad boys chose violence, didn't they?
So we had a good human being, a good reptilian in there, and now we got a bad boy, right?
Yeah, and that again, we gotta compartmentalize, okay? Because that's him as a player, but as a VP, again, I'm going back to that list. You know what I'm saying? As far as him, it's almost like how we talk about with Willie. Like, I guess he was supposed to be a motivator on the team, but when it came to X's and O's, he don't have it. When it came to making adjustments, he didn't have it. And really, I don't even think he was a motivator. He just had that one-trick motivational pony with, we got to fight. You know what I'm saying? And that's all he had. I didn't hear nothing else motivational. And that was 4 years ago? Dang. He's averaging one motivational speech every 4 years.
Pretty much.
You know? So we don't know that part. We know how he is as a player. We know he can have leadership. We know he's old school. We know that Zion responds well to old school, just like with Stan. And I said this on the last stream that or the stream before, I don't know, 3 streams ago. But Zion,
you was right.
Huh?
I just wanted to be cute to know that was David Griffin when he had him, man. Dr. Giroux of Dragon Ball Z.
Not even close, bro. Professor Giroux? What's his name?
Yeah, Dr. Giroux.
Is this from Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, that's David Griffin when he had him. He's Roboto.
The guy made the androids, yeah. Nah, DC, that's you got to make a more flimsier version of Dr. Giroux than that. Yeah.
He looks too masculine to be David Griffin.
Yeah, he way too tough to be David Griffin. Go ahead, what you saying, Lex?
But yeah, like you all have to remember when Stan Van Gundy was here, there were no problems with Zion as far as, you know, off court and on court things. Like he was really like dialed in for the most part. And that was the most games that Zion had actually played, 61 games before the 70. So when you think about that, I really do feel like in that perspective, Zion is definitely, I agree with you, GC, that he's gonna have the leadership that he needs because he desires that. Coach K, Stan Van Gundy, Joe Dumars, and shoo, if Joe Dumars brings Mike Malone up in here, golly, that'll really change the complexity of Zion and really get him on track because he yearns for that. And it's, in a way, it's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's actually beautiful because he's a young guy who yearns for that old school type leadership. And you can't really say that about a lot of young people. Usually it's like, okay, you old, shut up. I ain't trying to hear you. You know what I'm saying? But Zion is actually like, hey, I want that. I want that guidance, that wisdom, because Zion's a cool dude, man. I mean, just for outside looking in, he really seems like he wants to do the right thing. I mean, obviously he's young, so and like you said, DC, he's been kind of sheltered, you know what I'm saying, in that regard. So he has a lot of growing up to do compared to maybe some other guys that, they didn't have older parents. Their parents were, younger and stuff like that. And, he has kind of like an old soul. So I think definitely that leadership does help. But I still need to know how he's looking because whoever Dumars, who he hires, if he's going to get rid of Bryson Graham, prayerfully he will relieve Willie Green of his duties and things like that. So, because obviously you want the coach and the GM to reflect the VP, the vision of the VP. You want that alignment. You want that in sequence. You want that.
So we gotta get rid of all the good human beings, Lex.
Well, DC,
Yes.
that's a part of
Gotta
it.
get some bad boys in the building. Not get rid of.
Hey, listen.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
If you look at we've said this many times. The team does not mirror image the city or the state of Louisiana at all.
No way.
You know what I'm saying? Grit, the grind. You know what I'm saying? Like the passion, being resilient.
Right.
Fighting back. They don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to get that, you have to, dog.
You gotta get somebody.
I like you, Willie, but hey, man, you ain't mean enough.
Yeah.
You don't have that oomph. You know what I'm saying? That edge. You don't have those intangibles.
This is the thing, though, Lex. The leader of the previous regime was, as DC called him, a PWA. So the team was pretty much weak. They were flimsy. They were soggy men. They were, they were talking about being friends. And I keep saying the same thing. We don't care about that. We don't care if Jose Alvarado is cool with Herb Jones. I don't care about that.
No, they can hate each other for all I care.
Right. If you're losing, I don't care about that. I don't care if
step
you're
on that court. Y'all better play and y'all better win.
That's my guy. Me and Herb, we eat breakfast every morning. I don't give a damn about that. All we care about is you winning on the court, wins and losses, and you know that. That's what the business you're in. We're not paying you to put up 21 wins in a season. We're not doing that. We're not supporting that nonsense. So let's pivot to this. Zion Williamson trade reports escalating with new general manager, or they saying new Pels GM. So even they're confused.
Yeah.
The writers of this all, it's not the
because
GM,
nobody
it's
knows
the
who
VP.
Bryson Graham is.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why, it's just crazy. So a lot of this has to change. But we'll see. Let's get into the article. The Pelicans wrapped up the season. And, of course, we know what time it is, 21-61. Immediately after the season ended, the Pelicans decided to part ways with David Griffin and now are expected to hire NBA legend Joe Dumars to fill the position. That's Shams Charania's scoop. With a new president of basketball ops coming in, there has been increased talk about Zion Williamson's trade this offseason, along with the possibility of New Orleans moving on from Coach Willie Green. Since it looks like all the rumors are coming true, a final bit of intel on this situation is that ownership will mandate Dumars to keep Willie Green and trade Zion. This is what I've learned, WBFU's Sham Shamadua. it's possible the Phoenix Sun impacts Willie Green, but this is the plan I am hearing, and this is the tweet that he says here that was retweeted here about it. Now, Williamson, 24, averaged 24.6 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists through 30 games. But his health has been a major concern. Through 6 years in the league, Williamson has played over 30 games just twice, but has shown the potential to be a superstar when healthy. Another problem that Williamson had this season was that he did not seem committed. I don't know what he means.
Wait, what?
Well, we'll touch on
How
it.
was he
But
not?
But Dumars coming. Hold on,
they be
y'all.
making up stuff, man.
But Dumars coming in and could change that. ESPN Sham Charania and Brian Windhurst talked about the impact that Dumars should have on Williamson and the Pelicans organization. Expect some very candid conversation between Joe Dumars and Zion Williamson. According to Shams, they are going to have to sit down eventually. And he said he's going to bring a different level of authority and accountability. He will walk into the building with instantaneous respect right through the organization. Windhurst added, that doesn't mean Zion Williamson's healthy, but that should make Zion Williamson pay attention. And is that one of the biggest struggles with him has been. So it's all pivoting to Zion. The Pelicans currently have a busy offseason ahead of them. As a disastrous injury-plagued 2024-25 campaign, New Orleans is certainly bringing in Dumars because they feel like he can put them in a position to succeed, whether or not that means keeping Williamson or trading him. Now, listen.
Who was the sources for him getting traded again? Who said that?
This is Shamadua. But this is the thing that's interesting to me. And Lex DC, please feel free to chime in. The thing about it with the Pelicans organization, knowing what I know about the Pelicans, right? I'm not an insider. I'm just a common sense guy that pays attention to how things fall in the behavior pattern of how these people operate. For a long time, we've been here doing Pelican post-game report. With that being said, I understand what the man is saying, but I don't accept it. I'm just have to. I don't accept it. Right, and I'm gonna tell you why. To me, it doesn't make sense. He could be very well right, but to me right now, this doesn't make sense because number one, you don't mandate Joe Dumars. You need Joe Dumars. You don't come in and issue him a mandate when he has the chance. He's a Hall of Fame player. That's not David Griffin. I mean, he's an upgrade on David Griffin no matter how you look at it. He's a top 50 player all time in the NBA. He's a Hall of Famer walking into the door. He is respected by the world's best player. He has a championship as an exec, and he built the Pistons. The Pistons wasn't ready to win. He constructed them to win that championship, then created that rough Detroit mentality to use on the Lakers. And he had a lot of success up there. Of course, it fell off. It fell off toward the back end. It burned out like most dynasties or whatever you want to call it, or empires or however you want to phrase it go. But I just don't accept that. The Pelicans are not in any position to mandate Joe Dumars. I mean, he comes in validated already. You don't mandate him and tell him what you gonna do. You do that to Willie Green, a guy that don't have a resume in terms of coaching. You don't mandate Joe Dumars. And number two, he's gonna do what he feels is best for the team. He's not gonna tie himself to no organization or that it keep all the guys people. I sincerely hope he doesn't keep the guys people because I do think that Bryson Graham could have been handicapped, impacted by what the Octopus did. But to say he gonna come in and all you do is change David Griffin and then you keep all of the other people, that's ridiculous, man. At some point, if there's going to be movement, Bryson Graham, to me, if I'm coming in as a general manager, I don't know who Bryson Graham is. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's a new GM. He didn't really do anything as a general manager. He scouted well. Maybe I can give him a job as a scout.
Yeah.
Maybe that, So like I said, if you coming in and the team just won 21 games, they got a player that could be a superstar at a higher level. This year, he showed that, that he had, with what he's seen, you've seen him in the best shape of his career. He was out there handling the business, doing this thing. That's encouraging. And I'm gonna turn it over to y'all. But another thing I don't like is the fact that they're gonna pivot to Zion, it being all about Zion Williamson. If Zion Williamson is hurt, we still got other players on this goddamn team. here that was supposed to be playing and winning games too while he's hurt. Now, you probably ain't going to win a championship as him being hurt, but still in all, you still have other players that are getting paid here that are actually pretty good. But the thing is, it wasn't just Zion that was hurt. All these effing guys was hurt. So who are you going to adjust the medical staff? Because that's the thing. Bringing Joe here gives respectability to the organization, creates a better relationship with everybody else. But there are some things here that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
And changing Griffin at the top and putting Joe there it's not going to cut it. It's not. So I'm going to turn it over to y'all. That's all I got to say on that before we position to the other stuff. But Lex DC, please feel free to chime in.
Yeah, man. You can't give a bald-headed weirdo complete autonomy to do whatever he wants, and then you hire a respectable person. That's a Hall of Famer.
Talk, boy!
And then try to handicap him?
He ain't lying.
After who I just saw you had in here, letting him do whatever the hell he wanted to do?
Yeah, hey, he ain't give him permission to dominate. DC, cut it out. So go ahead.
Oh, wow. Like, it just, to me, it doesn't make sense. If I'm Joe Dumars, and if I understand this correctly, the standpoint I'm looking at it from is the Pels, they're not okay with not winning, right? Or at least being competitive. Maybe they're going to tell us they chasing the championship, and they might just have aspirations of continual playoffs. But they obviously want to win if they're bringing in a winner. And the first thing you do is mandate that you trade Zion. We don't even know where our pick is. It would make more sense if, let's say, somehow the Pels got the number 1 pick, right? Still would be stupid. But it would make more sense if it's like, okay, we getting Cooper Flag, and they mandating that we trade Zion and get what we can get and build a team around.
You need a
Cooper
draw,
Flag.
DC. You need a draw.
What?
She wants a
Right.
stadium. How you gonna draw people without a draw? You need a draw.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, so we trade Zion. You got Cooper Flag. Okay, I could go with that, even though I still don't like it, but it makes sense, right? You're gonna trade Zion, and who the fuck are buying these tickets? If you trade Zion, like, how they supposed to get this stadium they want by 2029, right? Like, when the lease is up on the Smoothie King Arena, that, you know, they pretending like they want to refurbish. I don't think that's gonna happen, right? They're gonna try to sell us on a new stadium after they establish this team as a winner. I think that's always been the goal. Maybe the way they went about it is like, I don't know how the hell y'all expect to do that. But that's, and, you know, in their lofty delusional mind, and the way they were going about it, that's what I think they wanted to obtain. And they were willing to be patient because you got to 2029. David Griffin has knocked them off their trajectory. So you got Joe Dumars coming in here, and I think they're attempting to try to get a contender, or at least a viable team that can make the playoffs continually, to, you know, convince the city to open their pockets and get them another stadium at this new location. That we've been talking about this. You know, before David Griffin was even here, we saw this coming. And we started talking about it shortly after into his tenure. But I don't see how you do that with trading Zion and then keeping the whole same staff. Like, what? Did y'all not learn anything from passing up my man down in Orlando who we could have had as coach over here? Like, do you not learn anything from your mistakes? If that's the case, you know, we're always trying to save a buck, but a lot of times people with that mentality of always saving a buck, I'm all for a good deal. You know, I want to get the best possible deal I can get, but you can't take the best deal over quality. While you up there trying to save a buck, you're going to wind up spending more money in the long run because you're going to have to keep buying the same shit over and over again. Instead of you would have got the one that cost more money that would have lasted. You build a house with a messed up foundation, guess what? You're going to have to build a house again. What you think costs more money? To build a house right one time, or to keep building it over with messed up foundations? So I know the Pels are retarded sometimes with their decision making, but
sometimes
most of the times. I'm sorry, Lex. I didn't want to.
Shoot, it's near all the time. But go on.
I would think after
they got a lot of things that got to turn around here.
After just watching this train crash with David Griffin, and he had the ability to hire and fire, look like who he wanted. That's how it perceived to us. I mean, the man ran through. He was about to be on his fourth coach if you'd have let him stay here.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. We cannot, does everybody feel okay with Griff staying here and getting the fourth coach?
Hell no.
That would have been all bad.
You can't have Joe Dumars come in here and you tell him, well, you got to keep Willie Green, and then you got to keep this. Like, look, man, look, what Bob Myers that? You want to win or not? You know what I'm saying? Like, Joe Dumars probably gonna hit him with something like that. Like, he I don't think that man gonna take that. You can't be a winner and just be willing to take leftovers. You know what I'm saying? You got to get the right stuff if you want to win, and that might require getting a lot of the people in the building out of there. Or maybe we can keep some of these people. Maybe Swing Cash is somebody you can keep. Bryce or whoever. Willie Green ain't it? Is what I'm getting to, Lex. Willie Green is not one that you can keep. So I know where you're going, baby. I got you. But look, the Phoenix Suns, there's a lot of talk about Phoenix seriously wanting Willie Green for some goddamn reason. I don't know why. But it almost sounds like shit. We might be able to finesse a second round pick and trade Willie ass over there.
You know what? Didn't I say that? A trade package. Y'all remember that?
If I hear a lot of rumors, they hired Bud. They think maybe Willie could be that guy to come in. They looking at the shit he did over here. And you know what? Willie Green has been a horrible coach. So we don't want to just speed up past that. But David Griffin did not help Willie. He got burned by a lot.
Yeah, there was a clash. There was a clash of philosophy.
But what if that's a thought process? DC
of a Phoenix, they might see that. Yeah.
No, I'm saying not about Phoenix. Is obviously they starting over with. So yeah, right. So
Willie
you spending a lot of money.
To be an NBA coach. Though.
I mean, but let him go. I'm totally good.
But yeah, I'm fine with him for leaving the Pelicans.
But what is it? We talked about.
Wise.
But we talked about the impact of David Griffin, the octopus, as he was termed by yours truly. But I'm saying this was the thing.
Pussy ass weasel.
That too. But this is the thing. What was his? Because he had a very negative impact on a lot of these people, including Willie Green. With him out of the way, how good? Because that's the thought process. The Pelicans are fond of Willie Green. And I me personally, I think, and I've heard other people say this, I think Willie Green's days in New Orleans are numbered. I think Joe Dumars coming in here as the top dog, he was going to try to change. Because like I said, we're not that far off. When you talk about a team, we're not that far off from being a team that's a contending team, family. We really aren't. It's just the Pelicans can't, and it's the same with the Saints too. They can't get out of their own way. Like, you hire a guy, a smart basketball person, to run their organization, and just let it be that. And like I said, he's an upgrade over David Griffin all over the place. I mean, just severe upgrade. Him being away from the game so long, that's one thing. But he can kind of do better depending on the staff that he adds. And like I said, people like Bryson Graham as a GM, but if I'm Joe Dumars, I'm looking for an experienced general manager. Mm-hmm. I need somebody that can handle the toughness of what's going on. That's what I'm saying. I want an experienced general manager that's going to come in and we're going to build this team together, because it's the VP and the GM. And that's what David Griffin failed, because he was an attention whore and a control freak, and he didn't want people there, who was making their own decisions, like Trajan Langdon. Trajan Langdon was a guy that went to Detroit and turned them around in one season. And we had that man here. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous, and that's the impact. Just look at that alone, how David Griffin impacted what was going on with Trajan Langdon. That's crazy to me. So in the end, like I said, Bryson Graham is a new GM. I'm not really impressed with who he is, and you know what he. I know he did some stuff with Eves. He helps out in the drafting and the scouting department. Fine, that's cool. But man, listen, we need somebody with some more leadership ability that can kind of do his thing. So if I'm Joe Dumars, I'm going to get an experienced general manager, and together the VP and the GM will go sort out the coach. That's right. So you guys see how that builds? You got an experienced VP, gets an experienced GM he can work with. Those two work together to build the the identity or the mindset of the team, and then they go and get the coach. 1, 2, 3, bam. Then they build the team. So that's what I'm talking about here. So we're not a burnt out crater. Like I said, we're not a hole in the ground team. You know what I'm saying? We're not that. This team is mismanaged. A lot of the injuries, they're going to say it on Zion because they dumb. They're going to talk about Zion being hurt, but they ain't going to talk about all these other players being hurt. Zion ain't the only one sitting up there hurt. They got other players hurt. They've been players hurt for the last 5-something odd years.
That's even more so reason why you shouldn't trade him. Q, he the only one people care to hear about.
Bro, nobody. They're not talking about all these other players. Well, Zion missed this.
They don't care to hear about them. Only we care about them players.
They don't talk about none of the stuff that we talk about. They don't have those talking points about how he gets hacked without getting called, and how they don't fight for him all the time. And you know, Willie sitting up there with that nose, and he don't put his arms folded. He don't want to lose no money.
You not just the nose. He cut the lips out too.
You got to get 5 concussions, Zion, and earn it. You got to earn it.
So that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's more than what they telling you. They just create narratives. They don't give a damn about getting the truth right. They're just getting views. They just care about views. Yeah. Or it's Zion. Let me tell you something. Zion Williamson might be the most important player around the team is built, but he's not the only player out here. The Pelicans have other good players. They still supposed to be winning. Despite they ain't gonna win a championship without them, but they still supposed to be competitive. They supposed to still have enough talent to be in the playoffs. They do. A lot of that is tied to the fact that how the team is created. You had a very weak leader at the top of the team with this stupid good human beings bullshit. And at the end of the day, we push this clown out. You get a tougher guy. Let's see what the product is. I don't see why people are so upset. And outside of them, you know, extending the process and looking, I agree with Lex on that. Go and look at other people. I would have liked to talk to Bob Myers, but perhaps maybe, you know, we can find some of these other guys to be general managers of the Pelicans. They'll look at this and say, man, these people ain't that far off from being a contender. You just had a bunch of jackasses sitting up there screwing around and playing games, lying and giving secret agreements and crap. Look how that ended up for you. So at the end of the day, man, I know what people feel about the Joe Dumars thing, but man, that dude is credentialed and resumed, regardless. So I mean, top 50 player, championships as a player, that means a lot. 2 players on the team, it does. So in the end, we'll see how it all ferrets, man. But y'all kind of let's talk about that. Like y'all mentioned Joe Dumars' impact on Zion Williamson, the Zion Williamson trade rumors about him getting traded. I don't believe that at all, because you trade Zion, what's your draw? You don't have a draw. Who you gonna draw people to the team? You don't do that if you want a brand new building. You got to have a starter draw. So I don't believe that. That guy's a money draw, and when you get the team around him, that's must see TV. Imagine a credible coach like a Taylor Jenkins or whomever.
Got some news I'm sending to you, bro.
Come on with it. But that's what I'm
saying.
They
putting this on the news.
So how do y'all guys see it? Y'all guys? Well, what y'all? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Nothing that the Pelicans do wouldn't surprise me, fam. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But anyway, what are y'all thoughts on that? Do you think the Pelicans with Willie Green should, you know, pretty much do that? You know, lock in on that and then do what they do. I mean, what do y'all think? How should he handle? Should he find a new general manager? How do y'all think it go? Or are they gonna y'all believe that David Griffin was the problem and we just need one guy on top? What do y'all think of that?
No, I want to take that. Look,
if I don't,
well, y'all talked and things, but I've been waiting, you know, for my turn. But yeah, look, if you're hiring a GM and which is Gail, and Tramal mentioned this, You don't know anything about basketball. Everybody and their mama know that you don't know anything about basketball. So you get someone who is a champion, who's played it, who's worked for the NBA front office. You cannot approach this where you are trying to control who he keeps and who he doesn't keep. And I'll say this right now because it's been proven. Being cheap is affiliated with losing. Okay? Being cheap is affiliated with losing. Pelicans been cheap. You've been cheap. If you're dialed into winning, you need to spend some bread and stop playing around with the supporters. So what that means is you need to bring in somebody who knows what they're doing and who wants to win. But winning is that foundation. Remember we talked about this? That winning has to be the foundation. You got to bring in guys who look, they were winning in wherever else they were right before, because I always say you're as good as your last hit. You are as good as your last hit. We know that Willie Green is not a winner. Bryson Graham, he's a pushover. Like, you know, he can't even talk for himself. We need people that know what they're doing, that have a confidence, okay? They have an air about and a pride about winning and really being looked at a certain way. Like we said, like Joe Dumars, he's respected around the league, right? So why would you have someone like him up top that's respected around the league, but then you have, you know, pushovers below you in reputable titles, and they don't match that? The coach and the GM have to be in sync with the VP. They have to align. Because guess what? We saw with Griff and Willie Green did not align. And definitely Bryson Graham. Man, I'm telling you, when you saw Griff, Bryson Graham, DeJounte Murray, and Willie Green up there on the podium during DeJounte's presser, introduced to the team, you heard 3-4 different mentalities. We can go back and play that jump. It was 3-4 different total mentalities. That's not good. It's like you chicken heads didn't discuss nothing before you hit the podium. You all weren't on the same page. You all had a totally different view on, you know, look, DeJounte's like, that's our superstar. That's the guy. He's the guy on the team. Talking about Zion. Then you get to Griff. Griff wasn't confirming that. You could hear in the way he was talking that he wasn't on board with that. And then Willie Green, we're going to put the ball in Brandon's hands and put the ball in CJ's hands and put the ball in Zion's hand, and we're just going to let them do what they do. Like, okay. You know what I'm saying? The Pelicans can't afford that. And DC, I think you said this earlier, like, if you don't invest now, and this has been a huge problem with Gayle, you are losing more money in all these years than you are if you go on, bite the bullet, spend the bread, stop being stingy. You don't got nothing else better to do. Oh, I don't like those drapes. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have anything. Drapes? How much are drapes, chicken? Like, if you buy them in bulk, you're getting a good price anyway, right?
Oh, no, my shit.
Like, y'all feel what I'm saying? Like, you're losing money if you don't go on and be dialed in, all the way dialed in, not having 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You can't straddle the fence. Stop cheating the game. Stop cheating the supporters. Be dialed into winning and spend the bread to get the people that know what they're doing up in here so that this organization can win. And guess what, Gail? If the team is winning, if the team is going to the playoffs, chicken, that's bonuses. That's bonuses. I know you know about that. You get a bonus. You get a bonus, Gail.
Well, man,
Well-
Get out into. Come on now.
Well,
Come on, that's like a tax write-off.
That's the theme music. Said chicken heads.
Well, the DC, listen. This is what
You slipping, Q.
hey man, I played it, bro. But
I
this
played
is the
again.
thing,
She
though.
said it again. You know, quick. Ain't got to go the whole thing. Just real quick.
Hey, guess
No,
what?
but
You ready,
no,
you
but
ready,
I-
Big Q? Are you ready, Big Q?
Okay,
You got
hold
your hand on the
Lex.
button?
Hold
Guess
on,
what?
no, I gotta get that first. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
you ready? Let me
I'm
know when
ready.
you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
We got rid of one of those secret contracts. Thank God. We got rid of that secret contract. You let me hang again, man. Oh, goodness gracious.
One in advance.
What?
Oh,
Goodness,
man.
man. It's got to
One
come
in
immediately
advance.
after
One in
Big Q,
advance.
man.
Just for
Come
the hell
on,
of
man.
it. But
Get y'all goal, huh?
but this is what WDSU is putting out right now. Fletcher Mackle
Check this
is
shit out.
tweeting the Pelicans. This is what he says that it's official that
She better get it then.
Joe Dumars is in, and it appears that Willie Green and Bryson Graham are safe. So starting and this is the thing, the logic, like you with the Pelicans, that's the problem. Like
If
but see, this is the thing that I was thinking about when they made the move to move Griffin on out of there. They're gonna make it look like it was just one person, as opposed to a series of people. Now, David Griffin was very control freakish, no doubt about it. But other guys didn't have to be allowed to be, controlled like that. A lot of these guys fell up under, and they were quiet, they were docile, and they played that role. And to me, I don't like that. For you to fit in and molt or
should have been cussing David Griffin ass out, man.
Yeah, he should have been doing something. But that's what I'm saying. They moved Griffin off the top, and it pivots like Griffin was the problem. Like he didn't do enough about this, that, and the third, in which he didn't. But if you're serious about winning in New Orleans, then you would want to, even if you keep Bryson Graham, maybe make him kind of demote him a bit. I just don't. If I'm Joe Dumars, I don't know this man. I don't know what he can do, and maybe that's what he'll say. Like, well, let's see what he can do. But this is not a foregone conclusion. Willie Green they said he got 1 year remaining on his contract. We did hear that.
Man, go ahead and pay that little $2-3 million and get him out of here, man.
No, but that's that, and it's a waste of time because listen, if Mike Malone is out there, if Taylor Jenkins is out there,
you gotta get those guys, man.
Those guys out
gotta
there,
get
man.
one
you
of those
can't
guys.
sit up here and tell me that Willie Green. Well, we good with Willie Green.
And I want to say this,
I
Big
just
Q,
can't.
real quick.
Yes.
Louisiana boy, if you get rid of CJ's contract, you do have that coach money. I rest my case. I'm saying?
And that's another thing that he would have to deal
You
with.
do
too.
have that coach money.
So
you
does
just
that-
need to remove somebody to open up that money. There's no excuse. There is no excuse.
Bryson Graham did sit up under Trajan Langdon. I don't know how much he learned from the experience of being as an assistant general manager. He was an assistant GM for a very long time.
Man, go get
so,
the assistant GM.
I mean, with the competence of David Griffin,
If
he's
this is
really
true,
incompetent.
if this is true,
So Bryce might have actually been doing the GM work. We know David Griffin was all talk, but I ain't trying to stick up for Bryce. If we get somebody better, his ass got to go.
Yeah,
to
we gonna. Yeah, I feel that.
The Pels just can't do this. If they start off like this, the only way to right this ship is to fire Willie Green 20 games into the season. Like,
that's not good enough.
That's the best you could hope for. But they got so many coaches out there right now.
And they need
the
to
Bryson
hurry up
Graham
and move.
Right, the Bryson Graham thing is of little consequence to me. If we don't know what he's an unknown. He's an unknown commodity in terms
He might
of
be
what he can
good,
do.
might be trash.
He
We
might
don't
He
know.
might be good. I can understand that. But the Willie Green thing, Willie Green,
Yeah, Willie got to go.
the Willie thing is
Got Griff out of here. Now the Green.
Yeah, the Willie Green thing is something
'Cause
totally
he ain't
different.
it.
Nah, he's not. Especially when you got coaches that's way more credentialed and resumed than Willie Green. You can't sit up here and play games with Willie Green and say, "Okay, Willie, we're gonna give you another opportunity to do your thing." Because I played for Detroit, and you was up there in Detroit. So here you go.
No, that don't even matter. And I hope he don't get tricked by that. No.
But see, this is the thing too, Lex.
This ain't a foregone conclusion yet, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And then I believe in truth, which means if Willie Green is not as good as we think he is, then he will thoroughly expose himself like he's been exposing himself in these games. So at some point,
not next season though. We've already seen enough of that.
I know we have, but like I said, if Joe Dumars has done his research, he want to clean the guy out. Now, once again, like I said, it's the Pelicans getting rid of David Griffin as well as Willie Green. How much of this is tied to
let me ask
some money? I don't know what's it, but if
what,
this
what,
is true,
what about this? Is there what is the protocol for being I guess politically correct or releasing the coach respectfully? Like, how do you do that? Does that go like you let the season fully play out, like while everybody's still, in the
Pelicans
playoffs?
have already done that.
Wait, hold up.
He got 4 years here, DC. I'll cut him this year. I'll cut him right now.
Hold up. What is the respectful? Like, let's say you want to cut him, right? But they trying to do their best to roll out the red carpet for the way they fire him, is what I'm saying. Like,
why would they do that, bro?
Look,
because he's such a nice man. He's likable and all this shit.
That's what you gotta let go. Hey man, this is a business.
Hold on, but let me ask him this, Lex. What was the red carpet for David Griffin?
He ain't deserve.
They just no. So does Willie Green. Willie Green has not done nothing. Even when
no. He hasn't done anything. But check this out. David Griffin got up there and lied to them people, and I'm sure Miss Benson was sick of his shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they kick him out on the street.
She wasn't sick of it enough. She kept him around for 6 seasons.
Right, but you get my point.
That's a lot of time wasted, man.
Hold on, you get my point. But I'm trying to make a point about Willie. My thing is this. If they look at him as somebody that they like, what he did, they felt he didn't have the best advantage, but we know we need to move forward. But, they like him. They want to do right by him, even in firing him. Is that a thing? Like, how do you go about that? If you have respect for, I know, but the timeline on when, though, Lex, is what I'm
now.
Typically teams don't do that.
They should have fired him and Griff at the same time.
Wouldn't they fire him after the playoffs? Is really where I'm going.
No,
I'm not saying should they, Lex. I'm saying teams that had a coach that they valued or they like, that they decided they had to let go for whatever reason, but they wanted the red carpet treatment of letting them go, doing it as respectfully as possible, however you want to see that. They don't typically fire those guys during the season. So when
the season's over,
do they let them have their little wrap-up press conference speech for the end of the year? The season ain't over. The playoffs still going on.
The Pelican season is over.
They don't want to put their name out there. And Lex, you gonna let me try to find some goddamn loophole to believe Willie ain't gonna be here? God damn it! I'm trying to find something. The first stage of grief. The first stage of grief is disbelief. Lex, come on now.
The season is over. I don't see the Pelicans on any of the brackets.
All that shit down. She said, "Hell no."
I don't see any. Do y'all see the Pelicans on the brackets? NBA bracket, the play-in, the playoffs.
Stacey, I'm just basically saying they can fire Willie Green later, man. Maybe
the season's over. Is the season not over for the Pelicans?
Definitely.
Okay, so yeah, listen. When
We
you
had
get
talked like
fired,
we was gonna keep
it don't
Anthony
matter.
Davis.
It don't matter when it happens. You
Maybe him
get
and
fired.
Zion could play together. Y'all don't remember that shit?
Who?
Before we traded Anthony Davis, there was all this talk. Maybe him and Zion can still play together. It was just, maybe Willie Green and Joe Dumars can
No,
make
because
it
he
work.
was fed up with the organization. And the organization, they just followed the same recipe, man. That's all they did.
Willie might want to go to Phoenix.
I don't care about that.
I do.
The thing is,
Get out of here.
he's just been a problem. I don't care where he goes after. He just doesn't need to be here. If the Pelicans are trying to change things around, that dude gots to go. Like literally, him and Griff should have been fired together on yesterday. And really before then. Because he don't have it. Why would you keep someone around and be like, okay, well, let's kind of do it slowly and give him about 2 months? And why? Move him out so you can get out
dumb shit, Lex,
his philosophy and his mindset with the team so you can have time to incorporate a different mindset, a different philosophy, a winning pedigree with the team. Like, look, there's no time to figure this junk out. We said that streams ago. We're not trying to I know I'm not trying to hear that. I am not trying to hear, hey, we're just figuring it out. We're done with that. Y'all were losing all season. Y'all didn't have time to figure it out with all that losing.
No, they're still trying to figure it out with Willie, apparently.
No, stop it. Stop. You want me to take my mic in?
Well,
dog, nobody has time to figure things out, man. Like I said, if the Pelicans are trying to come up to be a playoff contender, to change this thing around, because right now, even with Joe Dumars, it does change things, but we got to see what he does, right? We have to wait and see what his mentality is, what his philosophy is, right?
Just to build on what you're saying, though, Lex, you're absolutely right. Let me shout out to Maul, says Q played Ja Rule's song, I Cry for Willie. Okay, hold on. I'll get that tuned up for you in just a second, brother. Let me show y'all this. This is the 10 best available NBA coaches right now on the list right here. Several fired experienced coaches and promising assistant coaches are available, offering NBA teams a range of intriguing options for their head coaching positions. Proven leaders like Malone, Jenkins, and Brown contrast with rising talents such as Cassell, Ivy, and Quinn. Now, this is some of the people that they have listed here. 24-25 season began with 3 new head coaches, J.J. Redick, Jordi Fernandez with the Nets, and Charles Lee with the Hornets. However, the season progressed. Kings decided to part ways with Brown. Grizzlies, Nuggets surprised many with their firings of Jenkins and Malone, and with them joining us a pool of experienced free agent coaches, highly regarded assistants. There is no shortage of intriguing options for teams looking to make a change this summer. Of course, this is the top list. Malone is on the top of the list, obviously. Him winning a championship a couple of years ago, all-time winningest coach in Denver, which says a lot, was fired by Sacramento. At the time, many fans, columnists believed the Kings made the wrong decision. Given his championship experience, Malone could be a perfect candidate for teams seeking a winning culture and navigate the changes of the playoffs. And, of course, you can see his resume as a coach, 5'10" and 394. He had a 44-36 playoff record, 1 championship. Taylor Jenkins, we know about Taylor Jenkins and his time with the Grizzlies. He was the 5th longest tenured coach in the NBA at the time. He spent 6 seasons in Memphis, trailing Greg Popovich, Eric Spoelstra, Steve Kerr, and Malone, who have all won championships. During his time with the Grizzlies, he became the franchise all-time winningest coach, surpassing Lionel Hollins with a record of 250 and 214. He also coached most games in franchise history, which dates back to 95. His record all-time, you see it right there. Then there's Mike Brown. You talk about Mike Brown, who did some good stuff as well. His all-time record is 454 and 304, playoff record 50 and 40. James Borrego, currently the associate head coach of the Pelicans, is a name that will be on the radar for several NBA teams this offseason. Served as a long-time assistant under Greg Popovich, played a role in the 2 NBA championship runs with the Spurs. Borrego has the pedigree and experience as a strong head coach candidate. This is, that would be the correct choice. But anyway, who else is Frank Vogel's on this list? We know he won a championship. His record is 480 and 422. Sam Cassell has been a part of NBA teams' coaching staff for over a decade, earning widespread recognition as one of the top NBA assistant coaches. In his annual GM survey, Cassell was named one of the league's top assistant coaches, receiving 7% of the vote in 2023. Cassell built his resume as a key assistant under Doc Rivers, first with the Clippers, later with the Sixers. Currently serves as the lead assistant for the Celtics under Joe Mazzulla. His name has already been in head coach conversation, as he is among the finalists for a couple of head coaching jobs during the last offseason. So both former championship winning point guard as a coach on the multiple playoff contenders makes his transition to a head coaching role seem inevitable. So that's another one. Royal Ivey is another dude here. He's been a respected assistant coach in the NBA for years. Is currently a part of Ime Udoka's staff with the Rockets. So they talk about him and his pedigree, how he in 2023 got his South Sudan to its first ever FIBA World Cup appearance. They finished at the top African nation in the tournament, achieved secure team's first Olympic berth in 2024 Paris Games. With a strong coaching background, international success, and a growing reputation for player development, Ivey has emerged as an intriguing candidate for NBA teams in search of fresh leadership. Here, Mika Nori is up here. He's another dude, a unique level of recognition in Minnesota, thanks in part to his insight in game interviews, breaking stuff down. However, his growing reputation extends beyond that. Then they talk about Chris Quinn, which is really a guy a lot of people like. Chris Quinn has been a trusted assistant with Miami for over a decade, and many believe it's time for him to take the next step toward head coaching. Spoelstra's right-hand man, Quinn has earned a reputation as an emotionally stable leader who inspires confidence in his players. One league insider even referred to Quinn as Spoelstra's mini-me, a testament to his close relationship with the Heat's coach and his deep understanding of the team's culture. Widely regarded as one of the top coaching prospects in the NBA, Quinn has already interviewed for several head coaching positions in the past. He is undoubtedly being sought after as a name during the offseason. Steve Nash, no thank you. And then, of course, they go in, and that's the final group of names that they have that they're throwing at you. So these are some, we talked about Sam Cassell. They mentioned Quinn, Spoelstra, Mike Brown. I don't know if we like Mike Brown, but Taylor Jenkins and Mike Malone. Those guys are available too. So, like I said, this is a few things. And once again, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Do you see what you doing, bro?
I was crying.
Oh, come on.
This shit going from a celebration to a funeral real quick. We keep it Willie.
Wipe Willie's
That's
tears
awful,
away.
man. That's
Wipe it
awful.
away.
You should take a poll. How many brothers up in here will let another dude wipe face?
I don't know.
Wipe his tears.
Cry, baby. Say I cry, you cry. Together.
I'm so glad we got past that Ja Rule era when him crooning on the mic.
You know the funniest thing about that shit though? I was sick of it too, but the funniest thing to me was 50 Cent demolished Ja Rule, right? And after he demolished Ja Rule, he started singing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was worse. That was worse.
His singing song was actually better than most of Ja's songs. The 21 Questions was fire though.
The 21 Questions were fire. I gotta give him that. But here Ja Rule crooning on a mic. I'm so bad. Boy, that was awful. Yeah, him crooning on that, man. Wow. But anyway, thank you, Maul.
Want to be
Appreciate you,
DMX, huh? Just couldn't do it,
brother. People doing it. All right, go ahead, DC. Y'all finished up. We're going to get ready to get on out. Y'all finish your commentary.
You know, when you put all this up here, Q, I had to go find a picture of Willie crying because this shit was making me cry, man.
That was actually
like all of these guys are out here.
That's why
guys are out here, and we talking about keeping Willie Green.
It's just sad. It's like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about, man? What are we talking about, man?
What are we doing? But Joe Dumars' contract, the ink ain't even wet on the paper yet. Man ain't even signed it yet. So it's like we
probably because he's discussing, hey man, y'all need to give me full control. I don't want y'all telling me what to do. And that's probably what the holdup is or what they talking about. It, you know, because it's like, no, hey man, you gotta trust me. Hey, if you want me to turn this organization around, because I'm not just here, you know, to be a feel-good story, just because I'm from here. Hey, we got to be dialed into winning. I mean that might be what they talking about. Like, hey, you got to keep this person. Or you got no. You need to let me choose everything. That's my job. You either want me here or you don't.
I hope he stand his ground. Because
he needs to.
It would be really embarrassing.
This cycle needs to be broken. This is a organizational curse, just like generational curse.
This ain't no curse, Lex.
No, yes it is.
It's the people who running stuff at the top. It ain't no curse. It's
been happening for how long? It's been happening for a long time. So
it ain't because of no curse.
But it's by the organization. Who's running the organization?
It's them, the people that's running the organization.
Yes, and they stand for the organization. So if they continue to do this, this needs to be broken. Stop being cheap. Give him the control to put a winning pedigree type culture on this team. Because look, that's all I'm focused on. I'm not concerned about Dumars being from there. I'm not. I'm like, look, where's the winning gate? Where's the winning gate? If you start getting in people, because we know that Mike Malone, we know that he can win. And when I say win, I'm not talking about regular season. Let's elevate our minds a little bit. Let's elevate it to the playoffs, right? Like going to the playoffs every single year. Not having a down year at all where, okay, hey, we got to support the tank. Man, bump that. Ain't nobody, I'm not hear that. At some point in time, the organization has to be dialed into winning. You have to change the strikes. You have to change the direction. You have to change the vision. You got to change that. I mean, you can't keep going in this direction where it's a false reality of winning. You just can't do that. I mean, perhaps, Trapper B, even with injuries, there were ways that they could have changed a lot of things around. And they weren't, the team was not proactive. They can't use that injury card, though. I ain't even trying to hear that injury card. Hey, you know what? Dallas was, they were injured too. They were injured to the point where they were talking about them forfeiting games, right? It wasn't that bad for the Pelicans. And guess what? They're in the play-in right now. They were still finding ways to win. You know what that came from? It came from coaching. Jason Kidd is a really good coach. He's a winning coach. That makes it.
Sorry.
You like a lot of teams deal with injuries. And I think the difference between the Pelicans, when you talk about injuries, is that the Pelicans were really embracing the fact, injuries. They were embracing that excuse. They were really taking that to heart instead of taking, hey, it's next man up. And we're still out here trying to win. Yeah, all these guys out here, they're professionals. We're still trying to win. Every team deals with injuries, though. And I feel like, like I said, Dallas, they dealt with injuries too. A lot of them.
Appreciate
Almost
the
had.
5 bones, Hoffer. Got a super chat up here, Lex.
Oh, okay.
I checked the website. Dumars show haven't been high yet. Gail sorry ass don't want to pay. Lex, you right. Dumars wants independence. I hope so, man. Shit.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense. Lex
Yeah, so
definitely on the
Gail is starting to be a problem. If that's true, Gail is starting to be a problem because nobody wants a false reality of winning. This is not a gimmick. You're trying to play this again. She did this same thing when she hired David Griffin. Tunnel vision. Nobody else was interviewed. Like, she's just making this change. It's like, okay, what do we need to do? We need to hurry up and do something to make it look like to the supporters that we're making changes. Stop treating your supporters like they stupid. Stop it.
So my man Marley says, so the Saints fired the head coach and kept the GM, but the Pelicans fired the VP and kept the head coach.
See, you see what I'm saying? You see this trend? You see this recipe, man? Like, you're trying to cheat. You're trying to cheat on trying to win. And you can't do that. You have to be dialed in wholeheartedly. And like I said, if you're committed to winning, Gail, guess what? You get bonuses in the playoffs. You get bonuses. You get bonuses if you're winning the Western Conference Finals. This stuff is real. Stop being small-minded and think bigger. Because if you think bigger, those bonuses and that return on investment, it's going to come back.
No,
that chick, man, she don't want to spend no money. She just want to,
And look at this news up here that we got on the screen right now.
Suns coaching
candidates. Willie Green, right, Kevin Young stand out as Phoenix looks for fourth coach in 4 years. So that stands to show it's a lot of talk out there about Willie Green in Phoenix. And I think very much so. It could be very beneficial for the Pelicans to go ahead and let Willie Green go. We all know, shit, we ain't even got to get no pick, man. We ain't got to get nothing. we ain't got to get nothing. But if you could finesse a second round pick out of that, man, shit, Joe Dumars starting off on the right track. So the fact that we keeping Willie, could it be because we're trying not to pay his contract? And would like to move it over to somebody like Joe Dumars. I mean, move it over to a team like Phoenix and allow him to pay that last year. So it's a lot of speculation on what's going to happen. We just saw the report that they dropped on Channel 6 for us about them keeping Willie Green and all of this, which is weird as hell to me because Joe Dumars ain't even officially the GM yet. So maybe it is true to it. Maybe it isn't. I guess we just going to have to wait and see. I don't want him here, but we do have to be happy that David Griffin is out of the building. And at the very worst, we would have to deal with Willie Green for another year.
No.
At the very worst. What do you mean?
No.
That is the very worst.
It don't work unless both of them are gone.
Work, Lex, but I'm just saying
don't need to be here. You got rid of one secret contract, but you still got a second secret contract that don't need to be here.
Of course. But at the very worst, we can be stuck.
You're not going to get far.
At least one more year at the very worst. And we ain't going to get far. And we ain't going to do nothing. They may make the play in, and that's about it.
Man.
What? At the very worst.
And you know what? Ain't nothing changing. All you've done is change the dynamic of a losing recipe.
How you gonna lose?
Yeah, basically. That's what you've done.
We gonna lose with more grit.
They've gotten creative on how to lose a different way.
I don't want that trade either. Zion for Ja. Send Ja over here with Zion. I ain't trying to trade Zion for Ja. I think
I
that's a
mean,
wash. That's a wash at this point. Some
you
people
know
might
what
see it in
though?
Ja's
Like I
favor,
said,
but I don't think
if
Ja is
if
no
the
big upgrade
foundation
over Zion.
of the Pelicans ain't right, man, it's like you won't even need to worry about trading for Ja. You might as well just trade Zion. I mean, because it's like something needs to it needs to be a real change and not a fake change. And it needs to trend in the correct direction. It's got to. You can't color code this stuff. You can't treat supporters like they stupid, man. Like nobody has time for that. And I've been feeling like that for a while. Like the way that the Pelicans operate, the way Gail does, and all that stuff, like you're treating supporters like they don't know nothing. I mean, that's like put a better product out there, put better leadership in the front offices, in the head coaching positions. Fix your daggone training and performance staff. Like I'm gonna be honest, like everybody in every department, I don't care what department it is, I don't know all the departments. But I can tell you right now, all of them got an F. All of them. I don't have no ties. Like, I like Swin. She's a cold-blooded with Detroit shot. But I don't know what she doing up in that office. I like Borrego. But at the same time, I don't know what he doing with that coaching staff. All y'all chicken heads got an F. Y'all did a horrible job. Horrible. That's why I'm like, man, hey, everybody, because this was bad. And you said it. This is like one of the worst years of Pelicans history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, I'm looking at everybody else. Look, you look at, well, not the Suns, but you look at Malone, you look at Taylor Jenkins, winning organizations, playing playoff picture, fired, winning records, they were still fired. Now you look at this situation with the Pelicans, it's like, why do half of y'all still have y'all's jobs? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
because you weren't even close to winning anything. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I'm confused. And then look at just last year, Frank Vogel, he was gone. You got rid of Darvin Ham with the Lakers. Again, they were in the play-in, right? They had winning seasons. Who else got Bickerstaff? Bickerstaff, man, he was in the second round. He had the only win against the Celtics when they went on their run. He got fired when he was with Cleveland. And it's like you look at the Pelicans like, dog, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Why are teams that are actually they're winning, they're getting in the play-in, they're getting in the playoffs, but they're firing their coaches? And yet the Pelicans are not winning, and these dudes have their jobs. Man, come on, man. You can't tell me something right with this organization, because that's crazy. None of that stuff makes sense. So yeah, Willie, hey man, there's been what, 5, 6 coaches that had winning records that went into the play-in that won at least one game. They didn't get swept, and they don't have their job. But you got this dude, and he still has his. Heck no, you got to go.
Which is hecky no. There you go.
Hey, the math ain't mathing. The math is not mathing. I'm telling y'all. Did you say, oh, dang, Hopper said just offer Willie Green a Sunday school position, he'll leave.
But check this out though, Lex. We got
Sunday school.
I found something on Twitter with Joe Dumars talking 4 months ago about Chauncey Billups and when he acquired him.
Okay. Where'd Big Q go? Giving the team, but somehow he's getting the blame. Yeah, I know. That's crazy, Don. That really is crazy. Nope. I think that's funny. Are you still there, DC? Did you freeze up?
Oh, damn. You can't hear the. You see.
Oh, no, I can't even see it.
Let me see.
But why are you doing that? Don Guillory says Zion was never given the team, but somehow he's getting the blame. Yeah, and this was Drew's team, then B.I.'s. Griffin and Willie never empowered Zion. I totally agree.
Here we go. Here, a little bit of the mentality of the guy that's probably going to be in the building on getting players at the right time.
And two things that I learned running teams for 15 years is that sometimes you got to get the guy at the right time where he can hear you.
Yes.
So Chauncey said to me, he said, when I was a rookie going to Boston, I just thought it was going to happen automatically. I just thought, oh, okay, I'm the third pick and I'm going to be great. Because I had no idea how hard it was going to be, Joe. Yeah. So at that point, a young guy may not be able to hear you. But I knew after 5 years, 5 different teams, and traded 5 times, he can hear me now.
Yeah.
So,
a little bit into the mindset of Joe Dumars and how he looks at getting guys at the right time. Got any comments on that, Lex?
Yeah, we gotta see. We gotta see. I think at this point, like I said, when it comes to this situation with the organization, we're waiting and seeing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know. Like, we've heard a professional talker in Griff. And so right now, it's one of those things, I want to see it. Because I kind of feel like we've grown tired of, okay, all the talk. We want to see it. We want to see it. Obviously, you can have faith. I do believe in faith and things, but with this organization, it's like you have to.
Don't deserve your faith.
You have to gain people's trust again. And right now, I just don't trust what they're doing, and so it's like, I mean, I'll give you a chance, and when you put in the work and do what you're supposed to be doing, and we see the results. That's when, we can believe something. But as far as faith, it's like, man, y'all done tapped out of that. You tapped out. You gonna have to show the supporters something. And I feel like supporters are well within their rights to feel that way.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. I think this whole situation is the Pels, man. They just always find a way to muddy everything up. And you look at the Saints, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Saints are going through their own version of a semi-PI nightmare right now. What was going on with Derek Carr and all of that. And then you got this over here and talking about keeping Willie Green. They can't get out their own way. And it starts with the people higher up.
Mm-hmm.
The vice president of basketball operations, obviously, because you're still making a mess of things, even after you got David Griffin out of there. And all you had to do is sit back, take your time, where's this imaginary rush that they were in to make Joe Dumars the vice president of basketball operations. And then I guess the information being leaked so much so that it's showing up on the media would kind of tell me one or two things. Either they got a leak that they don't want and they're contemplating different things and that's getting out to the public, or they're leaking certain things to the media to try to prepare us for what they know most of the people don't want, which is bringing Willie Green back. I would say out of the fan base, it's probably like 80-20, or might be like 90%, 10%. You know, they do have some people out here talk about Willie, and it's not his fault, but the injuries. You know, you had some people in here in the comment section with that tonight. But the overwhelming majority knows that if we want to win and contend, Willie Green got to be out of here. We knew David Griffin needed to be out of here. And when you take the vice president of basketball operations out and you take out the coach, sorry to say it, but you know, that takes out a lot of other people that make decisions as well, because those people have to come in and replace their assistants with the ones that help them to succeed. Maybe you can keep some people that were exceptional at their job, like what's somebody on Willie's coaching staff? You got a James Borrego. What if a new coach came in and wanted to keep him? Or a guy like Corey Brewer. I think he does a lot of players give him credit for them improving their game and what he does working with people, you know. But you got Bryce Graham, who I don't know if you want him as GM. Maybe you keep him as a scout. You change some titles. But to try to run it back with everything is complete insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Insanity. Like, you are insane.
Completely psychotic.
It's completely psychotic. Like, you just attempted to do this with the Saints. You tried to do this before with the Pelicans, hiring a coach, especially. You got Willie Green to take on the old staff of Stan Van Gundy and all, like, and the shit don't work. How do you keep doing the same thing, Pelicans, and expecting different results? So it tells me one of three things. You're completely psychotic, which I think they are.
Do you want the answer?
Or you don't want to win. I think they do want to win.
Gail Benson.
They gave Gail a nickname.
The interior designer who cares nothing about basketball.
That ain't her nickname. They call her Gail the Snail Benson. Gail the Snail Benson. Because she's slow to do
as
everything.
Molasses. So y'all knew it.
It took forever to get David Griffin up out of here. Ever. Right? And then after all that goddamn time, you're going to come slow shoe up in here and then try to hold on and retain all these damn people from the current regime. What happened to the vice president of basketball operation coming in and doing what he needs to do? Because I'm pretty sure, like you said, they're probably fighting over power. And the power ain't got nothing to do with one thing. It's just got to do with money. But I mean, money ain't nothing but power at the end of the day, though, right? So she probably don't want to cut ties with a lot of these contracts. And let's say if somebody like Swin Cash is out of here, you know, they just gave Swin a promotion. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of these contracts and stuff, I don't know how that works fully with people in Swin's position or some of the coaches and stuff. If all of this stuff is fully guaranteed for the duration of however long they sign with it, so you know that money start adding up. But if you want to win, I mean, you've dug yourself a hole. If you want to keep collecting checks and make more money, you know, sometimes you got to invest in yourself. And investing in yourself is a lot of times the best investment that you can ever make. Because if you keep being cheap, you keep going the route that's got you where you say you don't want to be, because the people going to show you. You keep goddamn losing, people ain't going to show up. Y'all going to be giving y'all tickets away at Smoothie King again. Be giving them away for free. So if you keep going down that road that you already know where it goes, what do you think going to happen? It's not hard decisions. It's not that difficult. You need a change. It starts with putting the right person in charge of making those basketball decisions for you. But when you feel you've gotten that person, you have to let them make those decisions. And in my opinion, if it is Joe Dumars coming in, I'm not sure how much he likes or dislikes Willie. I've heard rumors that they were going to draft Willie when he was in Detroit. So maybe he likes him to some degree. I don't know how he view him as a coach.
How long?
But
How long?
wait, let me wrap it up. I'm gonna hand it to you. But if
No,
Joe
I was just
Dumars,
asking a
what's
question.
up? What's up?
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was a while ago. You talking about Willie Green was a goddamn rookie.
Yeah. When was that?
That probably what 15, 16 years ago or something. I don't know exactly.
We gonna round it up to 20. We ain't there no more.
No, it might not be that long because Willie only probably played like 11 or 12 years. Huh? Might have been like 12 years ago. But nonetheless, you looking at somebody coming in as your vice president of basketball operations. And if they are not hell bent on you getting rid of Willie Green, I could tell you right now, we've already made a mistake.
Yep.
Because
And
it
the
is
season
clear
ain't even here yet.
I don't believe Willie Green should ever be a head coach in the league anymore. I think
Nah,
he would make an
I
excellent
don't need.
assistant. Maybe some people see different. And I do think in certain circumstances, Willie could be successful. He would have to have basically a former coach behind him holding his hand, somebody older. He might be able to be successful in that type of situation. But Borrego, to me, was I think Borrego, like, he know he was next up if Willie got fired. So, like, how much was he really? You think Borrego was giving him all the sauce? I mean, I ain't gonna basically do your job for you. But if you got Willie and you paired him up with Monty Green, and Monty Green was like Monty Green, what the hell is wrong with me? Monty Williams, and Monty Williams was like the assistant head coach or something. He wanted to take on a job like that. For some reason, I just don't have a better analogy to give y'all right now. I think in a situation like that, Willie Green could have some success as a head coach, but I can tell you this, he ain't gonna never win no goddamn championship as a head coach, and he ain't gonna be no multi-playoff series winner as a head coach. Just ain't gonna happen. He's at the best, he can maximize a talented team in the regular season, doing the same shit over and over, and when they get to the playoffs, he's not gonna change a goddamn thing because that's what he does. His 0.5 mentality and defense first. I mean, that's cool. You know, it got a little swag a little bit. I can't say it's a total failure all the time, but the lack of being able to adjust and understand what the other coach sees in your system and the flaws in it, and as he exploits it and you don't change. If you want to be a consistent winner, that ain't the type of coach you want. You just stay the ship. It's like, okay, sometimes you do just stay the ship. That's correct. But that ain't the answer to everything. Like you just stay the ship all the time, so you don't ever have to change it. Oh, we just gotta keep going through the storm. Man, look, I can't take no more of this shit. And I know if I can't take no more, I damn sure know y'all can't take no more. Because I was lenient with Willie for a while. I gave him a good 2 seasons. And really, I gave him most of the 3rd season of still trying to, okay, maybe he can improve. You know, going into this year, it was over for me. I was like, Willie got to get the hell out of here. After what I saw in the playoffs, I don't know how you watch the Thunder playoff series and watch him lose a player because of his inability to strategize and make adjustments.
And then he couldn't help nobody. He's like,
can't help nobody do nothing.
He didn't want a coach, you know, like, hey, I need help. You're gonna have to figure it out yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog.
How you watch that?
You can't do nothing to help your player. That right there bothered me. That bothered me. Like, dog.
That bothered me tremendously. That bothered me just as much as keeping the money in his pocket too. Remember that, Lex?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that was worse because I mean, you really didn't have your players back. You know what I'm saying? You were straddling the fence for real. But
Wait,
you know,
let's my man Louisiana boy. He put in a bunch of comments. So he said, "Y'all tired of Willie, but got room for Zion. Cut out all the rot." First off,
what the world?
y'all got Y'all
I've been
tired
saying
of
for a
Willie.
while to trade Zion. What you talking, dog?
But y'all got room for Zion. Cut all the rot. But your reasons for trading Zion ain't because you feel like Zion is rot. You want to trade Zion because you feel like the Pels organization is doing him a disservice, which
Well, I don't feel like since
really
he's been
disagree
there,
with
there hasn't been like he hasn't been able to fulfill his part for the organization, and the organization hasn't been able to fulfill their part for him. So it's like, look, go your separate ways. You know what I'm saying? I think it's mutual, for real. Because I don't feel like they've done enough for him, and in doing that, because attitude reflects leadership. It first has to come from leadership. If you don't have that leadership set in place for a young player, you already bring in 3 different coaches, so there was no stability from the get-go. When you came in, you basically said it was Drew Holiday's team. You know what I'm saying? You were never building around Zion. You know what I'm saying? You mishandled him. What do you expect? You're not going to get what you desire out of him because you didn't give that to him. You know what I'm saying? You're as a leader, you have to show those attributes. And if you're not showing those attributes, what can a player like Zion do for you when you're mishandling him? And that's what happened. Like, this is from the beginning, from the very beginning. They weren't ready for Zion. They weren't ready for generational talent. So yeah, I mean, because even right now, we don't even know if the Pelicans are trying to build around Zion. Because I honestly feel like they never were.
Why wouldn't you think the Pels are trying to build around Zion right now?
Look how long it's taken. Like, that should have been an immediate thing.
Yeah,
And I
but
think
you can't act like Zion didn't deal with injuries his rookie year, then the year after his second year, then the year after that year. Like,
I'm not acting like he didn't go through that.
I
I'm just saying,
don't
like,
think they necessarily.
you didn't really show your commitment, and I don't think you were really behind him. And then you told him to take a back seat. He was available.
That I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
like,
with
you can't.
But they traded Brandon Ingram, so who else is there to build?
That was this year though.
No. I'm saying I said now. I agree with you. In the past, when Stan Van Gundy was here, I think they were trying to figure out a way to build a team around him, but they wanted to keep Brandon Ingram, and Brandon Ingram didn't like Stan Van Gundy. They got Willie. Yeah. That's when everything shifted back. They took a step forward, getting Stan Van Gundy, starting to build around Zion, and they took a step back
away from building around him. You know what I'm saying? So,
but we got to put it in perspective. The first year that Willie got here, Zion was hurt.
Yeah, we know.
Zion was hurt for a long stretch of that year. Then we had was that the magical foot year when he showed up to the press conference and then he messed his foot up?
Yeah, he was training and
missed that whole year, right? And then you come into the next season after that, and I forget what injury Zion went out with that year. That was the hamstring.
He was ready. He was ready from the start. And again, like they
started playing point.
They want to utilize him.
They started playing point Zion, right?
No, they didn't. That's when Brandon was like, "Yeah, James Borrego is gonna have the ball in my hands a lot."
No,
like
that was
Zion.
That was last year. I'm talking about the year before last. I'm not talking about the year when he was healthy. He had 2 injury-plagued years back to back. After the foot year, right?
No, the hamstring was January 2nd that year, right? Yeah,
but going into that next year, they had like
he was available because that's when they were top seed.
They had a stretch of like a 15 to 18 game when we were the top seed in the West, and the Pelicans were utilizing and going through Zion as basically the point guard. We point Zion, and it was very effective. And then we had the mysterious hamstring. Well, that went left.
Why was it mysterious?
Because he hurt his hamstring, and then they were all mystical about whether it was a grade 1 tear, grade 2, grade 3.
That was him, wasn't it?
That wasn't him. And then he probably re-aggravated it during the rehab and all of this stuff. We had no Zion, in the playoffs. Then you had the year you're talking about where they told him he came back fully healthy, ready to go, a little bit out of shape, worked his way into shape. They told him to take a back seat. But Zion didn't show up in shape that year, right?
You know what? Every year they said
wait. He wasn't.
Okay. All right.
We
Well,
remember the
that's what I'm
playing
just
game.
going about what they said though.
No, I'm just going down the timeline and saying, like, I don't think it
Okay.
was the Pels not wanting to build around Zion. I think it was them not knowing how to manage him, like you said. He's a young guy. He's got to come into. He was mishandled, definitely. He's got to come into his own. He has to have certain expectations placed on him. He has to be held accountable. Like, you have to,
and they weren't
make sure
consistent
he's
with
doing the
that
right
either.
thing and hold up to the bargain. You can't baby him, so to speak.
But that's how he came in.
I'll handle it.
And that's leadership. You were
But
mishandled.
you gotta keep him happy though. So it is a tricky mix of handling superstar.
No, if you establish that right away, which you can't do that, man. I mean, look, if you bring in someone,
you're a superstar. They get certain leeway with stuff, Lex. That's just how it goes, and that's how it always will be, and that's how it's always.
I don't feel like they really treated him like that. I think.
Wait, hold up. Zion got it all.
The pressure. They took the pressure away from him instead of adding pressure to him. He came in with pressure. Why would you rescind that?
Because they wanted to baby him.
To keep him honest. That's what he needed. And you were saying like, oh, we're not looking for Zion to be the savior of the team. But yet you're saying it's Drew Holiday's team? Is that what we wanted?
No.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
But you also got to realize, in the midst of all of that, that was the beginning of the season. Zion got hurt in the preseason and missed a gang of time. And
preseason win.
I'm about to tell you. Zion's very first preseason, when he played the Atlanta Hawks, he came in and looked amazing. Yeah. And he partially tore or fully tore his MCL.
Yeah, they announced that on November 20th.
The same injury that he had in Duke, and Coach Krzyzewski said he didn't think Zion was ready to play. So that also happened before the weird ass comments of David Griffin. You got to give him permission to say. I think a lot of that was to take the pressure off him, because they knew Zion was going to be coming in to that first season not fully healthy. I'm not trying to stick up for the Pelicans organization, but what I am trying to point out is there's a lot of situations where Zion wasn't fully everything he was supposed to be from his side, but he should have been managed better. He should have been given the tools to be able to succeed at that better, and he should have been held accountable and had more pressure on him, like you said. So my point in saying all of this, I don't think it was ever the Pels' intention to not build around Zion. The Pelicans never felt like they could trust Zion far as to be available, because the results of what we've seen have been that. And I'm saying all that to get to this point because my man, Louisiana boy, we got his comment up here, and he's talking about cutting up the rod. So long walk up to get to your point, to my point of what you said. I don't think Zion has ever been the rod. I think Zion is a generational talent, and whatever you trade for, you ain't getting nothing back equal to that. Now, if we get Cooper Flag or something, okay. I don't want to trade Zion, but like I say again, I get it. And he plays a similar position. You can kind of make your roster work. I don't think we'll be a better team for getting rid of him, but I get it. But with Zion, we've done all of that. Zion and figured this out. To me, he's right on the trajectory of being who he's supposed to be. He's still in shape right now, from everything I heard. Attacked his offseason way different than he's ever done before. We've done all the sweat work, put it in, and Zion is finally about to start going into his peak, and you trade him without doing everything humanly possible to try to make that work, I think would be a failure. Which brings me to Joe Dumars. Is Joe Dumars the last ditch effort at the Pelicans trying to make the whole Zion situation work? Because it hasn't been favorable for either side. So if they were to cut ties, and they had to cut ties, my only suggestion and statement on it is there's no way in hell you trade Zion right now. You let him go through the offseason, you let him come out balling, and then you make that decision during the season if you're going to do it. Because his value is still extremely low. And what you would get for him right now is worse than you would have got for him prior, when we were saying it didn't make sense to trade him. So it's really no incentive to really trade him. And then, like we talked about earlier, you have no draw for the people to come out. You have to really build up.
I mean, doesn't that depend on
equity?
who you get back?
Huh?
Doesn't that depend on who you get
There
back?
is nobody you are going to get back that is going to put fans in the seats the way Zion would. Absolutely nobody. None. You only got maybe, 10 guys in the league that you probably can put on this team to replicate that. You could say Flag maybe, because the hype around him is crazy. But there's nobody you can get back to recoup
not as much as it was.
the sales you would get if he's playing. And Flag, it ain't even the same. Like, Zion comes out, he's doing 360 dunks in the game, man. Everybody, they got people who drive down here. You didn't heard the stories. People who drive from other states just to come see Zion play. There's nobody you trade back to get that. So to trade him from a business standpoint is completely idiotic, unless you can recoup some of his value, get a more favorable return, and already have a replacement for your ticket sales on the roster, or be able to get one in a return or trade. And I don't think there's anybody getting a trade that'll bring you the type of polarizing attention that Zion has. I don't see it. But I do understand your standpoint, Lex, of wanting him to go somewhere else because he was mismanaged and you would like to see his career stop being destroyed. This is the Pels' last-ditch effort. I think this is the last opportunity they probably should have, if I'm Zion, of trying to fix this. And if you bring Willie Green back as my coach and I'm Zion, I probably would want to be traded.
Willie Green was never Zion's coach. Let's make that clear.
You don't fit him.
That was B.I.'s choice. Zion's coach was Van Gundy. And I think that's a big deal right there. Because it seemed like it was a battle of, okay, well, who are we going to focus on? And you went away from the guy that you drafted. Brandon came from another team. You put a guy that you traded for from another team ahead of your own draft pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, a player that you draft usually holds more weight. But they just didn't seem to care about that. So, I mean, I just feel like, again, that was a huge holdup as far as how they utilize Zion, the whole philosophy and everything. And then it's like, when you don't have stability, because you have a lot of you can't expect for a player to do what they need to do, and you had no stability as far as a coach. So Zion came into a situation where the situation here wasn't even stable.
Right.
You had 3 different coaches. Big Q talks about that all the time. Stability is very important. I mean, you look at all the other like stars, like young stars that are in the league. And shoot, like even with Taylor Jenkins, Ja had Taylor Jenkins for all 6 seasons. And they're just now getting rid of Taylor. He's on his second coach. And it's possible that, Zion in his 6 years, well, he's going to be on his 4th. or 7, however you want to look at the years and stuff. It's like, it just, I don't know. You just look at the grand scope of things, and it's like, I say this all the time, attitude reflects leadership, man. And when the leadership is not right, that affects the attitude of players when they come in, and how you're presenting, like, the philosophy and strategy and all that stuff. When you don't have your crap together, when you don't have your stuff together, that affects your players. That affects your employees. Because that's why we talk so much about leadership. Leadership is very important. It's very important. And you can't ever knock that. That's just like, look, even with your kids, like, you want to put them in a position where they can succeed, right? If you're not doing all you can as a parent to put them in a position to where they can grow and succeed,
You
I mean,
failing.
you know what I'm saying? That's like, that comes from leadership. That comes from you. What did you do for your child? You know what I'm saying? Like, that, the bulk of that blame goes to you. I mean, it does. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I agree with the accountability on all parties. I do. But I also believe, like, hey, that leadership from the organization, you're $1 billion corporation. You've been in existence way longer than Zion got there. You know what I'm saying? You have to have something in place, have stability and leadership there in place. And you didn't have that. You didn't have it from the get-go.
Yeah. I think it's 50-50. The Pels, they botched it up, and Zion botched up his side of it as well. But I think if the Pels would have got it right, there wouldn't have been as many missteps on the Zion side. That's definitely the way I see it. A lot of these injuries, I think, maybe couldn't have happened, or it could have been minimized, especially as his return, because we all know Zion wanted to play in that Phoenix series. And that could have changed the trajectory of the franchise.
And I think about
I
that too.
truly think if he played in that Phoenix
time,
series,
man.
a 50% Zion, just a 50% Zion would have been enough to get us past Phoenix. Now, I don't know if that would have further messed him up. I don't think so.
We don't know.
We'll never know.
We don't
He
really
wanted
know.
to play. That's one thing about Zion.
But Griff was all about that ramp up and
wanted
stuff.
to play, and they were holding him up.
Yeah, they were holding. It's not like look, I feel like the Pelicans, man, and even with the minute restrictions, the ramp ups and stuff, I really feel like that they were holding Zion hostage, man. Because we really don't know. Think about this. We really don't know how healthy he was. Because there was a rift between, hey, Zion's like, hey, I can play. I want to play. Zion
went and did a dunk.
He
did a 360 dunk in secret to show that he was still.
Zion was saying that he wanted to play. Yeah. And it seems like a lot of people are like, man, Zion, he doesn't want to do anything. He's lazy. And I'm like, how are we getting to lazy? And he's saying that he wants to play, but the organization won't let him. Like, what? Why are we not talking about that? The dude said that he can play, but we're not playing him. That means you're holding him hostage from supporters seeing him. How many national television games did Zion play for? Like, the Pelicans specifically held him out for national games. It's like, man, y'all ain't trying to do nothing big. Just because you're a small market team doesn't mean that you have to make small market decisions.
We're going to go from being a small market team, Lex, to a farm team, like my man Calvin Ellis said. That's how stupid the Pelicans organization is. Get Zion ready for another team. Lakers, here we come. Because that's what's going to happen. Yeah. We all can see the writing on the wall. If we do trade Zion, I think it's going to be a huge regret. At least first initially. The only thing that can put a lid on it is with his explosiveness. You just never know how long his career is going to last. Hopefully he plays for 20 years. But
Man,
if we
I
trade
just
Zion, we're gonna look like idiots, complete idiots. Because whatever we get back is gonna be comparable to probably what we got for
and
the
then we
Brandon
haven't
Ingram
even
package.
talked about the
Maybe
training
with a better player.
because other teams probably have better training and performance staffs.
Oh, hey,
We
definitely.
haven't even talked about that.
You're damn right they do. They're gonna get Zion, and
Yeah,
he's gonna be completely healthy, and
that's
he's
why
gonna
it would
go
be
on a
different.
3-4 year run where
And
he
Stacey
looks
been talking
absolutely
about that.
amazing, being an
Go
all
somewhere, be
NBA
an
player,
MVP.
and they're
MVP.
gonna talk about how stupid we are, and we're gonna be the laughing stock of the NBA.
Because the Pelicans did not know what
I
they
mean,
do.
we already kind of
doing.
laughing stock of the NBA, so but
Yeah,
it'll be even worse, you know. So it's if you trade Zion, I hope you realize it is more dark days to come once you trade him, unless you're able to somehow get a semi-generational talent comparable to him, or at least somebody that's a perennial all-star. You know, maybe they're not all NBA, but they can be like a Sabonis or something like that. You get somebody that'll keep you afloat where you can win and compete and be in contention to do something, making the playoffs and stuff. Anything
Well,
short of that, we will be looked at
teams
as
around Trey
it'll be
Murphy.
so bad. Trey's not ready for you to build a team
Yeah,
around
I
him.
know. I don't look at Trey Murphy as a number one.
Trey is like
I
a
don't
number
feel like
two.
he doesn't have that type
he's a number
gravity.
two, man.
I mean,
You
and
gotta get somebody to take the pressure off for Trey, in my opinion.
he may have a couple of games
He need
where
to be
he
a
takes
tandem. He
over,
need to be a
but
one-
it's
one
not
B,
one of
maybe.
those things where for like games at a time, he can just take over. I don't feel like he can do
And
that.
people
But I
forget
don't
that
feel like he's there yet.
Trey, I think, is older than Zion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
He's
Trey
older
talks.
than Zion. He's gonna build a team around Trey. Like, I like Trey. I think maybe one day he can get to that point. I mean, the dude, he averaged 21 this year. That's awesome. But building a team around Trey is like building a team around BI. You know, I think it's something that can be done, and
I
you
think
can
it's
win. You can win some games doing it, and his numbers will look good. But like you said, Lex, when the defense just clamps down on him,
Yeah.
he's not one of those players that can just
He don't
will
really
you to a
respond
win
well
like
with
that.
double teams and triple teams. He don't know that world. See,
And that's all
Zion,
right.
he deals
That's
with
all
that.
right. You know, you only got like maybe what 15 to 12 players in the league, 20 at best, that can really live and eat like that. So that's all right. You know, everybody ain't built for that. But if you want to be a contender, you need one of those 20 to 12 players, 15, whatever number y'all want to put on it, because I ain't rattling off all the names right now, but y'all get the point. You need one of those guys if you want to be serious about contending. And if you trading Zion, and he's one of those guys, I know a lot of people, well, he ain't because he don't play. But when he does play,
Yeah.
when he
And
does
look,
play,
look,
he one
some
of
other
them
team
guys.
will find a way. Like, hey, we found what the problem is. Now you can play Zion. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know that the Pelicans training and performance staff sucks.
Right.
They're horrible.
Teams go 10 plus years looking for a player like Zion, trying to get a guy like that.
Oshner, what I've heard, because I'm not familiar with Oshner, but from what I've heard from you and Big Q and everybody else who's down there in New Orleans, they are awful. They're awful. And there are better medical fields in other places, in other states. There really are. I mean, so hey man, there's definitely something wrong there. And you can tell because look at how many players were busted up. Like badly. Like you don't really see teams deal with injuries, but golly, man, I just feel like, Zion going somewhere else where he has available to him better science and doctors and trainers and all that stuff. That's going to make a difference because other teams do not operate like the Pelicans. I think that's very crucial to understand. Other teams don't operate like this organization. They don't.
Yeah.
They have a different system, different infrastructure. They're more organized. They understand winning. Like, you know, you like when you look at Boston Lakers, I know those are bigger market teams, but they have a strong system in place. They ain't playing. Man, they trying to win. And that's one thing that I can respect about the Lakers, man. Look, as much as we seen them like go through, like, dang, they making quick changes, man, they ain't wasting no time on
They the league's team, though. Lex. They get a lot of help.
no, but hey, all I'm saying is that they're
They
aggressive.
was giving Luka Doncic. That was crazy.
Well, I mean, Nico's an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
Nico's an idiot, but like the owner still had to sign off on that.
Yeah, but the
Well,
owner's an idiot. The owner's not Cuban.
It's bigger than
Nico.
Nico.
They want to move to Las Vegas because they want a casino.
There you go. It's bigger than Nico. It's bigger than Nico because you can't convince me that makes sense to get rid of Luka Doncic when Luka Doncic is a player that they probably should have got at least 3 to 4 first round draft picks for.
Yeah, they should have.
You know, Anthony Davis is a good player, but you could get AD and still get like 3 first round draft picks. AD is injury prone and he way older than Luka with all that wear and tear on him. So that's crazy. But Trey is 24. He's actually months older than Zion. He's actually stated that himself, talking about the fact how he was a rookie and actually older than Zion. So yeah, he 24 and some change right now. Probably think about to be 25 in the summer. And Zion gonna turn 25 too. But yeah, we got to get this right because I don't think trading him is the answer. I get your sentiments, your standpoint. I think it can be fixed, but only if ownership is willing to fix it or put the right people in place where they could just get out the way and let them fix it. But you got to open up your pocketbook to do that because the injury thing. Big Q talked about this with the Saints, and it's the same with the Pelicans. Injuries ain't nothing but money. It's just money. It's just going to get the right people that can keep them not injured. How is this? Oh, we got a curse and we got all this. No, it's just money. Because they can other places they can do it.
You know, the best.
They can do it.
And that's what they gonna get. You don't want to open up a pocketbook. And being cheap is affiliated to losing. You losing in your training and performance staff. You losing in your medical staff. You losing in the coaching staff. You losing in all areas. You have to spend bread. And the chicken head got bread. If you want them, and it's crazy because she don't know this. You know, like, look, you want to make money, you got to spend money.
No doubt.
You want to make money, you got to spend money.
You know that.
You want, but does she? Because actions speak louder than words.
She spent money from time to time. She spent bad money
for her interior designing.
Sometimes she spends bad money.
Then okay, so then it's this. You have to care about basketball. Let's talk about that. You don't care about the game. When was the last time you actually saw her go to the game and actually sit down and watch the game? I'm not talking about being in the tunnel.
I mean, shit, we ain't want to watch that shit either.
No, I'm talking about in the past, though. In the past,
I know she's been at some other games other than that, but the last game I remember Ms. Benson being there. I remember when it was in the playoffs in 2018.
Okay, you was good at your last hit. She hasn't.
I don't even remember her being in the building, but I'm sure she has been in the building for some other games during the Zion era. But
don't nobody see her
because she be in the press box.
No, they show the press box. She ain't even in there.
They ain't gonna show that camera up there in the press box and Miss Benson don't want them to. They ain't gonna put that shit up there. I mean, she stay away from the camera though. Like she you know, I'm sure she goes to some games. I ain't gonna do that. Okay. She go to the Saints games sometimes, but she's not a regular there. So
that's what I'm saying. She oversees talking about her interior designing.
She do not frequent it.
She ain't trying to. She
show up sometimes though, but she don't get behind the mic and the camera and all that.
She's using the Pelicans as a cash cow along with the Saints. She don't care about these sports, man. And Big Q say that all the time. She don't care about these sports.
That's true.
Yeah, she just collecting. She just want to make sure she getting her check. Make sure the money's rolling in. That's the only reason. That's why I kind of feel like this move with Dumars, in a way, is kind of a gimmick. But what's not going to make it a gimmick is his mindset and his philosophy in taking this position if it's open, with all this contract stuff.
Well, you see what's going on now, and they're still going back and forth talking about the contract, probably talking about the release of other people.
Yeah, and that's probably what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Because she don't want to. She does not. She cheap. She trying to do things. She trying to achieve winning ways with a cheap mentality.
She seen Mr. Benson do it, being cheap. That was our current owner. What she inherited the teams from. So
yeah, and that's
in my opinion, she's replicating a outdated model that he's given her to carry the teams on, and it's time for that to have a refresh. But with that, I'll go ahead and give you your last comments, and we're gonna go ahead and get ready to get up out of here, Lex.
Oh, Louisiana boys stated something. I hear y'all though, good stuff. I'm just tired. You know what? I am too.
I feel you.
I am too. And I think that's the biggest thing. We all want the same thing. And I don't want y'all to think, look, if the Pelicans change their system, change their infrastructure, get the leadership that needs to be there, stop being cheap and spend some bread and really be dialed into winning, I'm all for Zion staying. Okay? I want to make that clear. But if things stay the same, it's like you're wasting his talent. You're wasting his years. I mean, I already feel like Zion's the NBA's best kept secret. Nobody sees him play. Right. Nobody sees him play. And so it's like, with all the mistakes that the Pelicans have made, we know Zion's made mistakes. He's young. He's, obviously, it's like something's got to give, man. And I know I've seen too many times where a player is in a situation where they to succeed the way that they need to. And the dude is an incredible talent. I just want to see him play. I really do. It's like, I mean, to see what he can do, and we haven't been able to see that. And I would love for him to do that with the Pelicans. But the Pelicans as an organization, and you set the foundation of that leadership, it's like, come on, man. Come on. Because if you send Zion to put him in a situation where, hey, we got our stuff together. We know what we're doing, Zion. You know what I'm saying? We got you. We got everything worked out. You're in a position where, look, it's going to be successful. That makes a huge difference. It really does. Whether you're immature or mature, you're in a situation where you can succeed. You have role models around you. You have the right people around you. All that stuff accounts for something. And then, look, we've heard from Tony Allen and DeMarcus Cousins. We know what they said about this organization. And they played for the team. So it's a lot of stuff that's happened and that's transpired before Zion was even here. That's you got to work this stuff out. You got to work this stuff out. It's got to be you got to attack this and change the whole perspective and the persona and the feel. And hopefully with Joe, hopefully that happens. But the foundation still has to be winning. And if you're not trying to pay for that, you're swimming in mud. Even with Joe Dumars at the helm, you're swimming in mud.
No doubt. Excellent testament, Lex. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Really appreciate y'all tonight sticking here with us on a weekday, almost up to 12 in the morning with no Pels game going on. You know what I'm saying?
But a lot of Pels action.
Ooh, a lot of action. And I'm sure this ain't the last time we're going to be talking.
Yeah.
We'll probably be back once the deal is finalized and we get some more details to discuss upon. We still got to go over the offseason wrap-up, get some draft talk in there. So be looking for us. Can't tell y'all exactly when we're going to have another show, but we will be back. You know, the offseason is on and popping, but we ain't going to leave y'all hanging. Still going to bring some fire content. And with that, please like, share, and subscribe to the show. You know, sharing is caring. Y'all likes truly matter. They do. You know what I'm saying? Help us keep growing and get where we need to go, and actually being able to spread content to other viewers that may find us entertaining, enjoyable, and educational, as Pels Talk usually is here at the Pelicans post-game report. So with that, I'm going to say, because we can say it now, you know what I'm saying? David Griffin out of here. Go Pels.
Octopus.
Octopus. Go Pels, man. And Lex would usually say something like Wakanda forever. You going to do the Wakanda forever?
Wakanda forever. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Octopus is gone, my brothers and my sisters.
Man,
he gone.
Right.
He out of there. He out of this place.
10,000 gorilla being lifted up off your back, huh?
Yes, it's a huge weight. A huge weight. Go Pels, man.
Go Pels, man. And with
shout
that,
out to Brother Slim in the building.
Brother Slim, shout out to you. And peace. Till next time, we see y'all again. Pelican Post Game Report. Peace.
You're listening to the Pelicans Post-Game Report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
Perfect. Fly Pelican, fly Pelican, fly Pelican. And I tell them that. Fly down, I'm a Pelican forever. Yeah, ain't gon' lie, I feel flyer than I ever been. We stay ballin', this New Orleans, I'm a Pelican. It's going down in the nest, wild, wild west. Come in town and you best, show us some respect. 3-point threat, I better make it rain. If it's up, then don't jump stupid like your ankle sprain. Always said, never hate the player, hate the game. Jumper where the dame late, punch a train. Post game, big Q, talking about business. Bird gang, YouTube, they ain't flocking with us. Lock up the division mission, get into the finals. Finish competition, then it's going win the title. I know this flyer than you can get. Such a threat that the ref just might call a tag. You could double, you could press, but you can't check. Right, left, slide by you like a Eurostep. Fly Pelican, fly Pelican, fly Pelican. And I tell them that birds of a feather flock together. Fly down, I'm a Pelican forever. Pelican forever. And never, and never, and never, and never, and never, and never say birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, fly down, I'm a Pelican forever.